Hello, world, and welcome to No Brainer. It's me, it's Zach, it's your boy, and with my, what am I going to call you tonight?
What are you going to call me today, dude?
I'm going to make you my, all right, you're my co-host. You're my compadre. You're my brother. D-Rex, what up, homie?
I feel the promotion. We didn't really talk much this week, dude.
We both been really busy.
You've been more busy. You've had more. You're going through like I feel like my good times are coming. Yours are here.
No. Good times are here. Well, although we're walking on the sun this week. It's like living in hell.
You just don't vent to me as much as I do to you, so that's why. But
yeah,
it's all right. I missed you this week, so.
What's it saying? Restart. Okay, never mind. I was just reading. It says restarting is unavailable when guests are recording. It's because my mouse was sitting on something. Sorry. Anyway, guys, we got a great show tonight. We have a really fantastic guest with us, an amazing entrepreneur who we're going to just chop it up with and get some info from, and I'm going to let her tell the world all about herself. Please welcome Gina Marie.
Hello. It's good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, I'm
Gina
excited.
Marie, I'm going to say, Gina, you and I met on a Facebook podcast forum, and I was reaching out looking for guests because I like to talk to other podcasters and successful entrepreneurs, and you reached out, and I thought, what the heck? She's going to be a great guest. So
and I didn't know it was going to be a fit or not. I just threw my hat in the ring like, hey, I could totally talk business. I'm very passionate about it, even though it's not necessarily my main focus at the moment. But I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 23 when I opened my first hair salon and then opened both online businesses, brick and mortar, and, have entrepreneurs in my family and can talk business all day.
So I saw that when I was stalking you out. You probably saw me on your LinkedIn today, and I don't know if people can see Facebook. I'm not that technologically advanced, but I saw you got your start in there, and it's like with hair and beauty, and hairstylists do not get enough attention for like how challenging yet rewarding yet it's intense. It's like a crazy great career in some aspect, right? But then I'm sure it's got its physical difficulties, right? And just
it's changed a lot since I started. You figure I've been behind the chair for almost 30 years now, next year. And so with social media, the marketing in hairstyling is completely different. But I just remember at 23, I was unhappy in the location that I was in, partnered with another stylist, and we had the opportunity to buy someone out of their business that was very close, and we had a non-compete contract actually, and ended up having to go to court and settled out of court. But even with our lawsuit in our very first year of opening, we turned a profit within our first year, so we were really, really proud of that. But I just remember kind of learning to be an entrepreneur at 23 on the fly. I mean, but neither of us had ever owned a business before. I don't know. I guess Google was a thing back then, but it was not like it is right now. I can't remember. I don't know. Was Google a thing? And it would have been 2002.
No, that was like literally like the inception. I remember that being like kind of the year, like when people would say that, you're like Google.
Right. So I just kind of, we took every stage as it,
it was wasn't it
in our
like
path. It just made it work.
Netscape or something?
Say what?
Wasn't it like Netscape back then?
Yeah. You had no, Yahoo was the giant.
Yahoo was.
Oh,
sure.
That's right.
Yahoo.
You have that sound effect to play?
I had an AOL address.
But like, just to your point, and you're gonna go a lot deeper than I am with this, but like, look at 2002 where it was like, ooh, you Google, and now it's like, oh my gosh, I hope someone doesn't leave me a bad review.
Well, absolutely. Online presence is huge. You get one bad review, and then it can affect, it can affect your bottom line very easily.
Yeah.
Funny thing about online reviews, actually, the company I work for, we have like 25,000 5-star reviews on Google, which is great, but our Yelp is garbage.
I'll see.
And I haven't lost any deals because I can explain it. we used to be the corporate office, Orlando, where I live, and people would be complaining about other franchises. And the guy's like, well, this guy gave you a really bad review. I said, look at the pictures. And he's like, yeah, I guess it doesn't snow in Florida. I go, no. So that's in Wisconsin. So
It's
has
not
nothing to
really
do with my
about the
office.
review anymore. It's about the ownership. It's about taking ownership and ownership response.
Yeah,
And
well,
letting
I don't do that. So I'm
you
glad.
let the customer discern.
Well, I like I said, that's not my problem. That's the GM. That's his
Yeah,
problem.
well, you need to learn how to leave them too. So,
Yelp reviews?
nah, that was like me giving you a kidney punch to give my business reviews and stuff.
I do.
I
give
know
you
you
reviews.
did.
Good
Stop.
Lord, I've
Okay,
given you like 3.
mute Gina. So you're on this journey, right? You're in beauty, and what do you learn along the way, and what do you like and what do you hate about it, and what do you want to change, and how does that affect your trajectory of where you've come so far?
So I think one of the biggest lessons I learned in entrepreneurship early on was the value of creative marketing so that you can have your business stand out. And that means doing things that other businesses aren't doing. So some of the things that we would do is host elaborate customer appreciation nights where we'd literally hire musicians, get catered food. We'd collaborate with fashion shows in our area and say, we'll do the hair for free. Can we put coupons in the gift bags? You know, if there were fundraisers, if there were housing plans opening up, if there were real estate agents in the area, you know, say, hey, when you sell a house, if we can leave a gift bag for your owner to welcome them to our salon. These are all these outside of the box, like belly to belly marketing techniques. Now there's creative online techniques as well. Social media with, you know, the advancements and, you know, content creation and things like that. But creative marketing, I think, is one of the most underutilized business
You know
assets.
why? Because the number one rule of marketing is if you can't measure it, you can't market it, right? So creative and rapport building and brand building are things that once a company goes public, they say, where's that on the bottom line? Cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it. And they miss all these intangibles, you know, like Disney World cutting the Magical Express. Okay, well,
Right.
that's a bad that's a bad line on our P&L. No, that is like a part of the experience for deluxe DVC members. That no. That's an intangible. That's a small cost that nets you a lot more than you can quantify. Rewind to what you said. I mean, not only is it difficult to have the creative and the passion for, you know, event planning and doing things for your customers that aren't direct bottom line returns, but the measurement's really tough too, because let's say you just stopped all of that, your business might have this slow decline 20% next year maybe, right? And you might go all out doing it, and then you might all of a sudden say, well, this customer who used to spend $100 with us each time we transacted or interacted, now what is their average cart value, right? Now what is their lifetime spend? Now what is the referral? Those are all very complex things to quantify, even if you have strong analytical systems like Shopify or Google Analytics, whatever. Even with that stuff, how can you tie a $30,000 appreciation event per se to this customer now referring 7 additional people for the next year? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely. I think with our marketing, it was the new business coming in, then it was up to us to provide a service that would increase their return, right? That they would come back and that we would keep them. So at least with our creative marketing techniques and with other businesses as well, it was how do we get the new business in the door? And then once they are in, then you can track, right? How many customers came from that fashion show? Did we get 10? Okay, how many did they refer? And of course, with computer systems and everything, that's, we tracked it with, we used to track it in an actual sheet at a desk way back in the day with pen and paper. But we were able to see.
But you tracked it.
Yeah, but we tracked it. Well, we always wanted to make sure, not only that, a lot of the things that we were doing was more of a time investment and not as much as a financial investment. So I think when businesses are starting out, the creative part can really, you can kind of get creative as far as how can I market without breaking the bank? Okay. I
It's
don't. So,
intimidating.
yes. So
It's
that's kind of
intimidating.
what we did. Yeah. We just tried because we didn't have the resources after the investment, after the lawsuit. We didn't have all the resources to do that. So we started to get really creative. What is going to be our biggest bang for our buck? Marketing materials, some flyers and cards, that was minimal, compared to what we got back in return. So at least for that business.
What do you think your average cost per person to walk through the door was or
Well,
is?
time out. For what? For just hairstyling
For her
for what?
business.
What?
Yeah, I'm asking for her business.
So I would say for hairstyling, so many people refer and it doesn't cost anything to get those people in the door. If you're providing a service and you're telling them, we would also have a referral program, right? I would give $5 off of their haircut for every person they brought to me.
So $5.
So that was like my little referral, referral discount. But then if you go into the numbers of, well, okay, that fashion show that we did and we spent $500 on marketing materials and we got 10 people, obviously so you're $50 ahead for your.
But Zach didn't really dig deep enough because retention changes all of that too.
Absolutely.
And that is why, we do reviews, while we do events, while we do sticky things for customers, because, if it's $50 and it's $100 service, that's 50% marketing P&L. That's not acceptable. If you get that same amount from them 6 times in a year, and then for 10 years, all of a sudden that goes down to about 75 cents for that acquisition cost, and 75 cents over the course of how many thousands of dollars spent is pretty good CPA, right? All of a sudden you're
absolutely.
So retention is so important to knock that CPA down.
And
Well,
I was just looking at it from, when I was in the automobile business, and our cost to get a person to walk through the door was between $400 and $500. So everybody, you got the utmost service and FaceTime you possibly could with that person because that was $500.
Well, I think with us, at least in the career of hairstyling, I had weekly number projections that I was trying to make. And so if a person was going to sit in my chair and I was short on my weekly projections of where I wanted to be to always have, growth, I would be talking them into services, highlights, you're upselling at that point. So it makes your average ticket cost. Then you go into retail where you're getting, it's selling yourself, right? So as an individual stylist, not only does your salon have, but each stylist behind the chair has a responsibility to, increase and, sell their services to the best of their abilities.
So the stylist typically is $10.99 renting a chair, getting
It's different in every state. Every state it's different. Pennsylvania, actually, just in the last few years, they now have what's called booth rental. So there's these salon suites where someone can just pay X amount of dollars for the week. Those are fantastic. I mean, I was so happy when Pennsylvania opened that up, but yet there are still a lot of salons that are run on a commission-based structure. So you're getting 40%, 50%, 55% of your base service.
So, does that drive most of the hairstylists to want to get their own store?
I would say yes. It's going to be more lucrative as long as you have a built clientele. It's going to be very difficult to grow your clientele in a salon suite because you don't have the walk-in traffic. You're kind of parked away. You don't. So it's one of those things where there's a lot of people that go too early into a salon suite and then they're complaining because they're not breaking even. But again, it's all going to depend on the stylist. I studied for 3 years outside of beauty school to get the training that I had. I could have went behind a chair right after beauty school, but I knew I wanted to be able to charge premium prices, which meant I needed to mentor somebody that was not only good in business, but was good in, hairstyling as well. So I took an extra 3 years before stepping behind the chair to gain a lot of my knowledge in client retention, speaking to a client, the constantly growing your sales projections and working off a 10-week sheet where we had numbers and, and getting your service down, because you remember speed, our time behind the chair as a hairstylist. The mentor that I studied under would have us work on mannequin heads and set a timer for 15 minutes. And we'd have to start the haircut. When the timer would go off, it didn't matter where we were, we had to start again. So he was getting my cutting speed, accurate precision cutting, so that the cut was a great cut, but I was able to produce it in 15 minutes flat, which meant all of his stylists being trained that way were going to maximum, income for, we could get more people in. He was smart, great businessman.
Right. And I do know you guys are the queens of upselling, because every time my wife gets her hair done, she comes home with so much product. It's not even funny.
Product or extensions, dude. Let's not go there.
Oh, I do extensions. So yes,
Lorianne
that's
does not wear extensions.
If she doesn't wear extensions, I love you, but you haven't tasted it yet.
Correct.
Oh, I dated a girl who wore extensions.
So you're dealing with a primo piazzo right here. Freaking, they make. Okay, my wife goes and gets her extensions moved up, dude. It's like 10 minutes. It's like $120. I'm like, chick, you make $500 an hour. Like, you're good. Like, we need to do this. Like extensions rule the world. Like, extensions are so, sorry, I'm ranting, but they are, I just didn't ever know you could spend so much on here.
Well, I will say, if you get the wrong extension, though, it smells horrible when it gets wet.
How do you get the wrong?
If it's bad hair, it's bad hair. And you got to watch, that's hair sourced from all over the place. So.
But I don't.
Gross.
I'm surprised you even know that.
Maybe I should wear hair extensions. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's obviously comes from a very strong place of experience with those locks there on top.
No. I dated a girl who wore hair extensions.
How about beard extensions? That could be a thing.
Let me tell you what. Funny story.
No.
If you go a couple shows back, you'll see my beard was longer. I was working at a outreach for our church, and I was working the grill, and my beard burned. So
no way.
You never told me that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't tell you.
How come you never tell the good stories on the podcast?
I don't know.
That's a great story. Now that smells.
That does smell.
All my arm hairs were gone. I was behind the grill sweating, and I realized, dadgummit, half my beard's gone.
I have a 20-second story in high school locker room football. Sweaty, pubescent, 17-year-old high school boys. You remember Boomhauer on King of the Hill? If you ever remember that cartoon, yes. The guy who mumbles and just drinks a beer and you can't understand what he's saying. We had a friend who looked like Boomhauer and sounded like Boomhauer, very hillbilly, and we used to burn his back hair in the locker room. So sweat, male back hair. No. And when he reacted, it would, it would be like Boomhauer, but going crazy. So I'm done.
What is wrong with you? Now, all right, here's my 10-second story. This is terrible. I lived in Texas for a little while, and I had a guy who was a barber, but he was also a stylist. So he held both licenses. So he worked in a salon, but he had the barber's license. That's why I went to him, because he used a straight edge, and he did it. And I had hair back then. So I had hair. At one point in time, I had hair. And he and I got to talking. And my wife at the time my ex-wife was in school for become a nail tech.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
No, and she's not Asian, but she didn't corner the market that way. But so I started talking to him, and I actually got really interested in going to school for that, because it's really what I do. I talk to people and sell for a living. Why not cut hair while you're doing it, And when I was talking to my friends about it, the abuse I got for even thinking about it as a guy, the male testosterone came out, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you're gay. I knew it." Blah blah. And I'm like, "Dadgummit." And I now hindsight,
you know how tough that is, like on your back. I mean, that's like,
I know.
People don't even think about that, do they, Gina? Like, I mean.
Well, that's why I have always had additional revenue streams, because I needed to prepare myself for an early exit. Hairstylists, you very rarely do you walk into a salon and you see a 60 plus year old male
True.
or female doing hair. Our bodies do give out. I've had carpal tunnel surgery, all things like that. So I had always known, and just with my business mindset, multiple streams of income is always where we should be. So
100.
that's what started early on. I either always had a network marketing career or another career in addition, and now I'm down to I only do hair 1 day a week now, and I do it now because I love it. During COVID, I was growing an online jewelry boutique that did extremely well during
That's
COVID.
Royal Reveals.
Yes, correct. That was a network marketing style
Really?
company, believe it or not. And
Okay.
I never expected, I had been in network marketing since I got recruited by a teacher.
For
Way
31.
back- I was 18. As soon as I turned 18, this teacher just came up to me. He's like, I have a product. It's really cool. This will pay you better than your McDonald's job. Because I worked at McDonald's for my first job. He said, but you're going to have to go in the living rooms of friends, parents, and you're going to have to sell them this. And so that was my very first, okay. And I did well. It was prepaid legal services.
Oh, really? Okay.
remember
No,
prepaid
prepaid
legal.
legal actually is like
It's
totally
still
legit.
around.
I had a friend in that back in 07, 08, 09, somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah, that's legit.
It's still there. I think it's called Legal Shield now, if I'm
Yes,
not
it is.
mistaken.
It is legal
Ah.
shield. Yes, it is.
Yeah, that was 1996. Everybody, that
Woo.
was
I was a network marketing baby.
Oh,
My mom-
yeah.
So my mom and dad were school teachers, and they adopted me when I was a baby. And as my mom will tell you, she found me in the woods with the bears. But anyway, she decided after a year or two of me getting raised by my grandmother that she needed to stay home. She was pregnant then with my sister, which still baffles me. Like, you guys had me. Why were you even trying? You had the best. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, it was probably tougher the second time around with you.
Yeah, so they got 2.0. But so she left teaching and went into a little business called Amway.
Oh yeah,
In 1960. So I was born in 68, and she had already signed up in Amway prior, but never did anything. She made it full time in like the early 70s.
That's like the
She signed up in
OG.
66.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the
My-
OG.
Gina,
Well-
did you know that's where I was born, in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where
Yes.
their
Did
company
not
was
know
founded
that.
in the basement? Yes.
Yes.
Look at that.
So my mom's upline
Okay.
was Jay Van Andel, which is the vice president.
No
of Amway.
way. Oh,
Right.
that's
So
cool.
my mom,
Quadruple platinum diamond times 96,000.
no, he was the
Now owner of
There's
Peter
two-
Island.
Yeah. So my mom actually, my mom sold soap door to door. That's
at
how
that.
she grew her business.
It was great
She
soap.
sold it. She sold the products door to door. She had clients. Like, even I remember, even when I was going back to visit her, this is years after high school and everything, she still would go sell it. And I'm like, what are you doing, Mom? Why? She's like, they are my clients and I'll always take care of them. Right. She actually was a diamond, but by like 8 or 9 years old, I was able to run the meetings. I could do the circles and everything. And I've been around network marketing all my life.
That's
and,
same with me.
I did very well at, we had one company, my wife did well. It was a nutritional company. It was herbs and stuff. What the heck I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, Enrich, I think it was called. And then I was in a company called Excel, which was long distance.
Okay. I
And-
think I remember that.
Communications, right? Like,
Yeah,
Yes,
it was.
I do
So
remember.
here's the no brainer of it. I would call you up and be like, "Hey, Gino, how's life in PA? I'm down in Texas. It sucks. I have to call you after 9:00 because it costs too much to call any other time." You'd be like, "Yeah, heck yeah." I go, "What if I could show you how I can cut your phone bill in half? Won't cost you a dime. You switch over to this company, and I get paid off of the money you're saving, and then you could tell somebody about it, and you could do the same thing."
I remember that.
Everybody and their uncle was like, "It doesn't cost me nothing." No. Do I have to tell my friends? No. I go, "But you will." And I got really successful in it. Fast forward, I moved from Texas to Florida, and the XL team here was not as big as my one in Texas. Texas was huge. Matter of fact, the person who sponsored me, I don't know if you know a guy named Ted Nugent, but Ted knew I was on tour. I toured with rock bands, and
That is
his
crazy.
friends came in and told him about it. And he says, well, if I sign up, then Zak's signing up underneath me. And so I signed up. And anyway,
That's amazing.
we did. I don't think he ever did anything, but whatever. So I did really well. Anyway, I moved here, and the people here told me, I'm sorry, you're with a different team. We don't cross teams. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I really, if I had the gumption that I have now, I would have just started my own team here and destroyed them. But I didn't. So I went back and got in the car business and stuck it out for a while. But anyway,
Here
so
you
that
are
was
on the
my
podcast, yeah.
stint. I've been around network marketing. My now wife hates it. I can't even talk to her about it.
It's a shame. People do get in.
She got burned, I think,
They
by
get a bad taste in the. It
Avon or
depends.
something.
Yeah. Well, look at all the companies now that are pulling they're just leaving their their people high and dry. I mean,
Live good.
it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
I grew with 31 and they've
Yeah.
closed their doors. I
Really?
was at one point with them, I was on incentive trips, because it's amazing. If you really know how to work a network marketing business, I mean, it can change your life in multiple ways.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a really good run with them, but then, decided to kind of take a break from it for a little while. It went back down. I was never one to pressure people to have parties. So you get me in a living room, I could sell thousands. You get me in a living room. I didn't like bothering someone to have to ask them to get in their living room, but
Right.
I did. And, it was fine. But now they just closed their doors and had a beautiful, wonderful product. But January, I think December, January.
Here's the funny thing. You look at like Pampered Chef. I have a lot of friends who do Pampered Chef. They have the parties and everything. I can go on Amazon and buy Pampered Chef.
Yes, it's so
There's
different.
That is typically what happens now in network marketing. When you get to a certain level, the distribution gets disrupted because network marketing is successful because of controlling the channels and the
It will never ever happen with Amway. I know.
Sorry, it's successful for the network marketers, but then when the company says I can go to market without commission, or maybe Amazon takes 15% and this person's at such a high level, they're getting 30%. They just go direct to market, and that's when the bottom falls out. That just happened to a company called Live Good here out of Florida, where I have a couple friends who are very high up in it, and it just recently happened where they've been doing it maybe 3 or 4 years, and it's a fantastic product. It is fantastically priced. Everything is fantastic about it, but they just went direct to Amazon.
Or they go affiliate structure.
Yeah.
Which changes completely. You lose that ability to gain off your team. It's still lucrative in a way because you do get that affiliate commission, but it's not structured, the same. So
right. And then you got like the hardcore old guys who've been in it forever, and they make really buku bucks, but then I forget what the business was, to be honest with you, but a friend was pitching it to me and my wife, and he brought his upline on. First of all, don't do that. Don't three-way me in without telling me you're going to do it. I don't want to talk to somebody I don't know. But anyway, he did that, and he was pitching it, and my wife's like, I'm not interested. He goes, oh, but if your kids got kidnapped, you'd come up with I think it was like $1,100 to sign up.
Are you kidding
me?
And
I go, bro, the only thing worse you could have said was who wears the pants in the family, because then you'd have got knocked out.
Right.
I was like, no. I was like, now you pissed off my wife. You could be selling me gold eggs for $1 and I'm not buying one of them.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just got to be like the company I work for, and I won't go into who I work for. They have a sales trainer who does not like me because
you sell stuff.
Well, I also make fun of them. And I said, we all know sales
trainers.
Stop
doing that.
Salespeople who can't sell, so they become trainers. But
I like that.
He's trying to turn it into like a one-stop close, and like almost like timeshare. And some of the stuff, the verbiage and stuff, I'm like, bro, this is Cars 101. This is Timeshare 101. Stop it. That's not how I sell.
That, you know what? Well, that brings me to, so I have been in sales, and as a side, another stream of income, I one call close. So exactly like you're saying, and had a great career with it, very lucrative, did well, but that's because I didn't have a manager at the time. And I was allowed to kind of sell, probably like you do, gaining rapport,
Mhm.
having someone trust you, and even in an hour, making sure that they know, okay, this is the value you're getting and this is how much it is. And, and most of the time, if they had the financial means, I closed them. The
Right.
only time I lost people are when they couldn't pass the credit thing, So
Right, right.
I looked at that as a pretty successful close rate in my eyes. And then my company at the time brought a massive change to our sales train. They brought a team of people in. And just like you, these trainers were trying to completely take our process and script and cut it up, and they made it more hardline selling, where they were listening to our call recordings, and if we didn't say, how much do you have on hand between cash and check, and I'm like, you know what, like, I'm not doing that. And so I ended up walking away from that. And
Right. We have an app that we have to record our conversations with the customers, and if you don't say certain
yeah,
things, the app rates you, and I just don't even do
Oh,
it.
so like it uses AI to pick up exact verbiage that is script based.
Yes.
That's pretty nifty. I mean, I'm not supporting it, but wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's beyond my comprehension. But what I really want to know from Gina is, when they failed the credit check, is that when you asked them if they would do that if their child was in trouble?
right, yes, because I pulled that out.
'Cause I
That was
think that would maybe improve your
pocket.
conversion by
You would come up with
0.2%.
$1,100 if your kid was kidnapped. Actually, I
Oh
probably
my,
wouldn't.
isn't it crazy? People think that's going to work too. That's the funny thing.
I would actually
Yeah,
tell
scare
them,
stuff,
keep,
yeah.
keep my kid. I'll pay you $1,100 to keep him. How about that?
Right?
Yeah. So keep going here. Your story. So Royal reveals now it's COVID, right?
So
So
it's
you.
COVID. I can't do hair anymore, right? I had to shut the salon down. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, and are you from? Time out. You're in Reading, Sorry. You're in Reading, PA, right?
I'm near Pittsburgh. So I'm in a
Oh,
suburb of Pittsburgh, which is pretty far from Reading. I'm on the other side. I'm near Ohio. So
oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
I'm
Spent a
about
little
20
time in
minutes outside
Verona,
of the city of Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Do you know where Lancaster is?
Yes. Yes. That's kind
obviously.
of 2 hours away.
My mom lives outside of Lancaster.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I might be going there this summer, actually, I just found out today for an expo. But
Come on, you're going to Hershey. Just admit it.
I've been there. I like it, but I'm not like wowed by it. Although the Hershey Spa, if you do go to Hershey, you need to get some spa treatments in the Hershey Spa.
You get to
They
instead
are
of a mud.
chocolate spa treatments. It doesn't get much better than that. Okay.
Is it not a mud bath? Is it a chocolate
No,
bath?
it's like chocolate. Yes, no joke.
That's awesome.
It's like chocolate
Oh,
and chocolate stuff they put on your face. It's like, come on, it's great. It just smells like chocolate, and so good.
Yeah.
so during COVID, you
During
guys had
COVID,
pretty strict lockdown stuff, right?
oh, huge
Yeah,
lockdown stuff.
Pennsylvania was
So
very strict.
I completely stopped doing hair. Not only that, at the time, my ex-husband's mom lived in our basement, and she had COPD. So we had to be like extra careful as a family. But luckily, I had already started the jewelry business in 2019. April of 2019 is when I started it. And it had grown really quickly. I was really surprised. This is when I learned online sales. I was basically like a QVC host on steroids. I mean, I dressed in costumes, wigs. I did themed shows. Well, one, I'm locked in the house during COVID. I didn't have anything else to do. So I was like, oh, I'm going to make this fun. So I literally did a Bridgerton live series where I had a wig that like didn't even fit on camera and a boot. Like, oh my goodness. But there were times I was moving myself between $20,000 and $30,000 of that jewelry in a month. Just
Nice.
me and my team ranged anywhere between 300 and 500K a month was our averages during COVID. I mean, it was crazy, but everybody was locked in their homes, and it was entertaining. And
Time out. So you are so far beyond where my comprehension went this whole last 3 minutes. But what I think I heard you say is that you themed virtual sales events,
yes.
even to the tune of is Bridgerton Netflix?
Yes, and I released it during the time that it got so I did this 3 years in a row.
So what do you mean? So like you acted as a character from
Yes, I
Bridgerton
dressed.
with a huge like thing of Zoom people here and with a million faces?
So it was Facebook Live, TikTok
Okay.
live. So I would stream on multiple platforms at the exact same time. And I would sell jewelry that had nothing to do with Bridgerton, but I was capitalizing on the hashtags, the keywords of that show, the popularity. This is where these creative little techniques set not only my team, but my business apart,
Yes.
because I was using what was popular at the moment to drive traffic to my shows. And it worked. I mean, I had 4 different themed costumes. I had different hair. I mean, I went all out for these
So
shows.
you were even ahead of like, fast forward a year and a half to TikTok exploding, where people actually take a trend and duplicate it in their own manner. You were like already on marrying trending hashtags and trends and your product integration.
Yes.
So
Or it
wow,
was
that's see, like the world's lacking people like you in the right places. Like it's not lacking people like you in the wrong places. It's lacking people like you in the right places who can do that for businesses. And I think that's very important. You know, when you talk about branding, which we'll get into later, right? And the things that you have super specialty in, that marriage of it's different now. People don't Google things as much. People don't everything's social affirmation. And so when you have this social underlying theme and you marry it with the value that your product or service has, that's when you see some of the magic happening in branding nowadays.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
It's a beautiful blend of just ingenuity and marketing.
Right.
It really is. You can get really creative. I think but of course I understand not everybody has that creative brain, right? So I think that's where I've been so blessed, because the artist in me with hairstyling and, creativity has always been, heightened. But as, all these years pass with business, it's like now there's this marriage of both, just with all the companies that I've been exposed to and worked with, and, have thought of all these, tried different things. I mean, we're experimenting, right? Too. When you have these trends come, you're like, oh, I wonder if this would work. Sometimes you knock it out of the park on the first try. And other times you're like, oh, you learn another way not to do it. We were even talking right before we turned our cameras on, where there's all this software, right? And we're like, is this the one we go with? I build courses. I've built courses for the past 5 years. I've had different course hosting platforms. Now we have these CRM managers. We have all these ThriveCart and Go High Level and all these great digital products. But what's unfortunate is sometimes you don't know until you get into using them whether they're actually the right fit for you, and then you've already dropped a crap load of money on it, and you're like, crap.
And the integration. So you have a retainer you're going to drop with someone half the time, right? And then you're going to and that's one thing. That's not even the biggest deal sometimes. Whether it's a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it may be. To me, and I'm talking about from failures and successes too, and CRM integration specifically, but it's just as much the intellectual effort and energy you put into it. I mean, let's say you're doing Facebook lead form and you're integrating it with Go High Level and you're doing it through a marketing company. You're a sub account for them. All your intellectuals on their paid subscription. Now it's still yours. That's fine. But if you need to do it yourself, or you need to budget down or switch, you gotta import that data. You might have to set up a brand new account for you. You might have to switch CRM. That amount of intellectual effort and energy, no one talks about. But not only does that cost you money, but it costs you so much time and effort, and it can just drain you at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Yeah, there's so much out there. Zak has shiny ball syndrome, right? Where he just chases.
No, we don't say that. It's shiny thing.
Shiny object.
Shiny object.
Zak has shiny balls, but he also has shiny object syndrome, to where, and obviously this is part of starting a new business. We start this pod, what's the best streaming software? What's the best equipment? Let's look at 10 of them. Oh, I got to return these 3, blah, blah, blah. That's part of startup. That's part of new, but it's just a lot of effort to go through that.
Absolutely. Well, it's such a learning curve, because unless you have a tech team that is going to just build all that for you, which most people starting out aren't, right? They're trying to start from a limited startup budget. And so they're not just able to say, I'm going to pay an account manager to build everything for me. Now, this software is definitely able to be run like you or I could absolutely figure out how to do it and run it and use it. They have enough videos, they have enough tech support, but it requires hours of time, then the mastery of it, then the management of it. And if you're 2 months in and you just invested all those hours and you're realizing, oh, this could be better over here, then all of those hours that you just did, it's like you got to do it again.
And even when one sticks and you're ready to delegate and you do have that tech team or support, sometimes that transition period can be more energy than doing it yourself.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
now
Yes.
you can have the solution, and now you have to find the people in the system so that and even when everything's smooth, it almost feels wrong when you're never thinking about it, right? Because if you're not critiquing and inspecting it, even when everything's a perfect system, stuff falls through the cracks. You miss things, and it's like, how did someone ever miss this? When I did this, I cared so much. I audited these 19 things every time I input a lead, right? But now I look at my last 800 leads and none of them say the state they're in. And we need to know the state they're in to know the sales tax, blah, 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 blah. How did we miss this? So it never really ends.
No.
And
And
it
there's
never
so
really
much.
ends. You just get to higher levels of it.
Well, and
Well,
it's funny
yeah.
you say that, because when we first started the show, Derek, you remember I was trying to do the editing and everything, and we realized I need to hire an editor.
That took about 10 minutes to realize. I'm
I
like,
was like, I
no.
can't do this. Nope.
Yeah, you have to. I think in business, the one thing that I've learned over the years, especially with scaling, right? Because you're only one person. So when you start to want to scale and grow, you have to just be so clear on what can only you do. What is what are the most important things that you bring to the table that only you.
What are you good at and what do you like?
Yes.
Because if you're
And
not
what's
good
the
at it
most.
and you don't like it, you won't do it. And
Yeah.
if you're not good at it and you do like it, maybe you shouldn't be doing it. And if you're good at it and you don't like it, you're not going to want to do it. So it's
Right.
like, what am I what am I great at and what am I passionate about? Because if it doesn't check those boxes, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah,
Right.
correct. And
Long
then
term.
learning,
Long-term.
correct. And learning it's like, what is it? The book 10X is easier than 2X. It's not the how, sometimes it's the who.
Mhm.
It's finding those people that you can train. And there is that growth period, right? That uncomfortable trying to get someone to do things like you would do it. And you're never going to find someone, I don't think, to do something exactly like you do. So it's releasing that entrepreneur kind of control, which is very hard for a lot of entrepreneurs. And I mean, let's face it, our brain goes nonstop because we don't shut that brain off. Entrepreneur
Right.
brain is going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's really, I think that's one of the biggest challenges in my whole career, is learning to get very good at shutting that off. And I feel that I have grown probably more successful creating pockets of time that are more for me, for my self-care, for for all these things. I think I'm more productive. I know, I don't think, I know
Are
I'm
you a
more.
Miracle Morning fan?
So you know what? I don't know if is that a book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
You
just
know
a
what?
book where the author, sorry, bless his
Who
soul.
is it?
Hal,
I don't. You know it, don't you, Zach?
Yeah, I'm friends with
Is
him.
it Hal something?
My
I
pal
feel like
Hal.
Okay. Well, basically the gist is
okay.
there's an acronym
I'll look
called
up his name real
SABERS, and
quick.
it just says during that time of getting up early before the world wakes, what are you doing your
Hal Elrod.
your prayers, your affirmations, your meditation, it's just an
Yes,
acronym for what you probably already do and what you're talking
correct.
about. Yeah. Like
That's
same,
exactly right.
right, same packaging, different suitcase, right? Just different
Yes.
label. So yeah.
You have to. Well, so for me, it's non-negotiables. I just have certain things that I didn't used to. I had moments of extreme burnout where I'm making, easy 5-figure months and I want to just throw it out the window. Like I wanted to walk away from it all, because sometimes, money isn't the only motivator in life. And I found that out really kind of the hard way, where I was chasing so many things and realizing well, at what cost? At the cost of working, 150 hours a week practically and hardly sleeping and building this amazing organization and this amazing company. But at the same time, where was my quality of life? Like,
Well, I think as an entrepreneur, you have to recognize and build an internal goal for yourself, because that time period is going to exist. So let me just break everyone's heart. If you're not an entrepreneur, if you haven't started a business, if it's not your business, your bank, there is a period, whether it be a month or 10 years, but hopefully somewhere in between, maybe a year, 2 or 3 tops, where you have to give every ounce,
oh, absolutely.
every effort,
I've
every
done it
hour,
multiple times.
every day to get every penny out.
Yep.
And your only failure, you can fail in 2 ways. One, the business can fail and you failed that business, or you can fail in getting your time back through the generation of your money, which brings you back to being an entrepreneur and the struggle between control and empowerment. And as entrepreneurs, I think we naturally say we do it the best because we care about it, because our bank is the business, it's our pocket directly.
Right.
But we use that to kind of put a thumb on everyone. And the problem is you have to figure out a way to use that to empower the right people. And we've probably all got a little disillusioned over the last 20 years where the right people are that much harder to find. So who's the right person and how are they empowered to take ownership of what I do that I either don't like or I'm not good at, or both? And that is like life's mystery, right? The billionaires figure that out right away, or got lucky right away and found the right person right away. But that's how that explosion happened. That's how a part of that explosion happened. And then money was multiplied through other streams or annuities or whatever it may be. And I just think that's one of the largest struggles of entrepreneur, realizing that scaling is actually giving up control, even when like it feels like you can't possibly do that. And sometimes it's like kids. Sometimes you got to let them fall off the bike.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
like my guys ran my shop the best when I was literally out for a month. And I said, I'm not taking a single call. I'll text here and there, but I'm just going to not look at the cameras and they encountered the same problems I had encountered for years. And maybe they didn't deal with it the best ever, but the important thing was they got to experience it and deal with it to where they can start refining that. And that is, you know how the feeling is. That is tough to let go, like letting
Oh,
go of a kid.
absolutely. Well, so many people, their business is their baby, and they
Right.
they feel like they have to be, all in, and they have to do everything themselves. And
And for a while you do.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. But I think when you can get the right person on board with your vision and get their heart connected to your business in some way, that's when I believe, whether it's an employee, a virtual assistant, whatever, it's taking that little bit extra time to build kind of that relationship with that person to help them kind of come on board. It's more, and that gets into obviously management and,
Well,
employees and all of that stuff. But
I think there's two important aspects to that. One, you have to do it all for a certain period of time for your own competence, right? Because
oh,
management and
yeah.
delegation still depends on your competence of your ability to interpret so that you can inspect and receive the respect back on any audit you do and then let it go, right? But number two, that empowerment aspect of it, with the person you trust to do that. You mentioned reaching your goals. The right person will be able to, with your help, connect their goals to your goals. So like,
Absolutely. Right there.
my manager might come and say, well, I want to make 120 grand next year. Sure, no problem. Your percentage of profit share on a profitable month of this is the sales you need to drive. These are the people and the incentives you need to put in place to do that. Go for it. It's all up to you. It's not up to me. Have a great day. Now, it's not that simple, but like that's the connection
Right.
isn't made until it achieves their goal.
So I have a very successful entrepreneur friend who has taught me so much. He's the CEO of a company. He's owned so many different companies. The companies that he owned, he would go around to regular, even secretaries and his entire staff. And he said, I want to know if there is anything you see here that can save us money, that you think might be a good idea. I want you to come tell me. And if we figure out that it saves us money, I'll pay you a percentage of what you save me.
It's
And
awesome.
he told me so many stories of how a secretary realized that an ink cartridge didn't need to be a certain brand. Thousands of dollars was saved from a secretary just having some they were invested in looking out for his bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
That is beautiful management right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, those are the little things that if you let your employees know, hey, you know what, like,
So I had a similar situation where the most successful employee grassroots bottom up execution of strategy started with, at the top we created a 5-year plan, a 1-year plan, and then in that plan we had projects and they were all linked to the KPI of the company. So there's a quality metric, a safety metric, a profit metric, and I don't know, there's 5 or 6 of them. We took all of those KPIs and we created like tree roots down to every department, and we linked all of their top 5, not like, oh, I have to put the part in the machine, but like, what about my department do I need to improve this year, right? What's my project? So when the machine's running, I'm not just staring at it, right? But what's a project for our department? What's our top 5? So we would structure those with them to where the janitor's top 5 fed the maintenance department's top 5, fed the production department's top 5. They fed all the way up to the top that fed the KPIs and drove them. And then their performance was based on the execution of their top 5. Right. So when they executed their top 5, they got raises, their performance went up, and then it fed the KPI of the company, and the company created more money. That's how we got out of the Great Recession into 2009, 2010, revenue, but profit, shrinking and getting out of control back to a profitable manufacturing company. That's exactly how we did it. And it took, I would say, 3 strong years. It was awesome. It was like, and then once we did it, we never stopped it. That became my job.
Right. Yeah. Well, think about it. That was such a foundational piece to pivoting that entire
That's
company.
how everyone drove. That's how we drove. That's how the janitor drove the business.
Which
right?
is incredible when you look at that through
the
every
business is driving 98% of quote unquote, call them CEOs or whatever you want to call. But if your business has janitors driving their little element of the business that drives their department, that drives all the way up to the very top metric, you can't fail. Unless there's, act of God, but you can't internally fail.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful structuring. I think it's when each person has that, the goal, the drive, the investment there, and you paint it all out. So many companies just, they don't take the time to do that, right? It's the reflection and, being creative in the motivation of every integral, every player on the team.
Well, and I think you also have to have the ability to have the overhead to have that too, like in sense of like, I think where it's really tough with small businesses, like if you have a business and it does $1 million a year and you have 8 employees, like you don't have the dedication, time, and resources to have someone who's managing that, when the employees might not have the extra time because they're doing so much within the business. Now they're learning multiple functions of the business, which is fantastic. And it's a very important skill too, becoming an actual business-centric manager, entrepreneur, whatever you may become. But when you have a large enough business, when you have 10, 20, 30 million and whatever, with a good amount of revenue per head, you can actually have, like in my manufacturing life, from sweeping the floor to boardroom, my most important role became what I just painted for you, where like I was the director auditor of every department's top 5, structure of every KPI. And it took weekly meetings with every department head on constant drive, like someone has to be driving that. And then the business just starts driving. But like you have to also have the resources to put that into play. And I know like men, like guys like me, we struggle with that because it's like we're not creative, we're mechanical, and it's like the energy and the extra effort that takes to focus people in and say, hey, this is important. Like this is what we're doing. This is what you're doing. This is what the company's going to do for you as you do what you need to do for you. It takes energy.
Absolutely.
Well, one of the times I'll never forget when I became a GM for the first time, the owner took me outside. We were standing out in the parking lot staring at it was a brick and mortar. And he goes, what do you see? And I said the name of the business. He's like, no, it's now Zak's. He says, I want you to take ownership. I said, but you're the owner. He says, I'm not. You're the owner. you run it like you would. So I took that to heart. And what I did was I had to have control of everything at first. And then I realized I can't be here from open to close every day, 7 days a week. I have to loosen the reins. I don't have to be um, that controlling, right? So then I started giving away little details here and there. And then I started realizing, all right, things, things happened when I wasn't there that I didn't like. But, when my parents used to go out, me and my sister did stuff we weren't supposed to do, So I realized it's
Right.
going
If
to
your
happen.
parents had their thumb on you the entire time,
That's
you would
right.
be like,
So while the
you'd be
cat's
like,
away, the
Derek,
mice
can I
are
turn my
clean.
microphone on?
No, you can't.
Sure, bro. Like, why are you asking me to do something for you? Like the point is, like, you let them. You have to let them screw up. It's just that.
So exactly. So what I did was I came up with a program. I was a very much structured checklist guy, So every day you had to. I'm a routine. I eat the same thing for breakfast every day. I do the same routine every single day. I get up at the same time. Blah blah blah. That's how I am. So I would teach my AGM and other managers the same thing, and I would give everybody the responsibilities to do all that, and then I would train them, and I would grab the strongest one and go, okay, you're going to run this for a week. I'm going to run the night shift or whatever. I'm not here. Nobody sees me. Nobody ever knew when I was going to work because I never posted my schedule. And so I would do that. And after about 6 months, I was actually producing GMs for other stores. And the owner was just like, what are you doing? And I said, exactly what you told me. I took ownership and now I'm teaching them to be an owner of somewhere else. And he's like, this is the best. I don't have to look outside the box.
It is the best as the owner because then you can
Yeah.
actually be the owner.
Yeah. So, I mean, I learned, and for me, the biggest thing was to let go of the reins because I'm a control freak. And when it's my business, it's mine. And I'm not going to, but I realized, okay, we open at 11 a.m. Everybody gets there like 9:30, and then we don't close till like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. So how can I be there? Sooner or later I'm gonna die because it's not gonna happen. I
Yeah, you
can't.
just die eventually. No
Yeah,
big
I
deal.
just can't. I can't do it. I just can't. So once I learned and I started trusting and giving people responsibilities more and more, and then to be honest with you, it's also a bonus when you give away all the responsibilities and they're doing it really, really well. You can just sit back and relax and just coast through.
Yeah, people are so like backwards where they think I better not give my value away, and they don't realize the more value you give away, the more you can actually get done, and the less the company needs you there. But the company can't get rid of you because you are this like okay. So if you've delegated and you've managed, and your team can run the business exactly the same with or without you there for an entire week. That means for a week, if someone in your family's in the hospital, you can go to the hospital, and guess what? The company's like, holy crap, this person created this system to where it doesn't have to fall back to the owner. It doesn't have to be managed by a different department head. It doesn't require extra resources. Like people have it so backwards where they think I lose my value when you give it away. No, you don't. You gain your value because the company doesn't need additional
Well, and
resources to be running in your absence or presence, whatever it may be. They get your presence 24/7.
I
Whether
also
you're
think
whether
it's
you're
because
physically present or absent, they have the presence of your systems 24/7 that you've given.
I also think it's because this is why a lot of mom and pops businesses go under because they don't want to give it away.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
fear. Like I talk to owners and like, when's the last time you took a vacation? They're like, vacation? What is that? I'm like,
Yeah, no.
what do you mean vacation? What is that? I was in I was in timeshare for a little while. So 2018, I had to have brain surgery. And yes, my wife wanted proof. And the doctor said it's brand new in the wrapper. Smells like a new brain. So anyway, so I had to take some time off from work. I was a general manager in the car industry. I was actually an area manager. I ran a store and had three other stores underneath me. I was working 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. And I said, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. I can't. So I went into the timeshare business. My friend ran a pretty big timeshare down here, and I ran the vacation side for him, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun going at 6 in the morning, and I learned so much. Like every Brit I talk to, everybody from Europe, everybody from South America, they go on vacation. Americans, they didn't grab the concept. They're like, I don't know if I'd ever use it. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, this is our only vacation. They spent $10,000 to go to a week at Disney, and they don't know that if they're ever going to go again. Where I talk to the Europeans and the Brits and all these other people, and they're like, dude, we take 3 months off a year. We're always on vacation. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no wonder why we're dying here left and right from heart attacks. And then again, I have friends who own businesses. Derek being one, but Derek runs his properly.
We're not friends. Oh,
we're
sorry.
not.
No, I'm
We're
kidding.
not. We're not. Don't even like him. But for the show, I have to.
We
Love
need
you,
to
bro.
act like we hate each other. That'd be awesome.
No, that wouldn't work.
But you know me, like I'll go anywhere, anytime, but I've never shut off.
But the problem is, my friend who owned the restaurant. Now, it was during COVID, so she couldn't really take time off, and it was one of the few mom and pop restaurants that survived COVID.
For sure.
And then after COVID,
but that's a season. That's not a theme. That's a season.
Well, the problem was after COVID, the landlord saw success there and raised the rent to where she couldn't even afford to be in the restaurant anymore. So she lost her restaurant. And even the mayor of Apopka like tried to fight it. But anyway, that's a long story. But she was one who was in the kitchen every day. And I'm like, dude, you got to trust people to handle it. She's like, they can't run my business like me, and I won't let them because they're going to crash it.
See, my brother was a great example of that. He owned a pizza chain, food trucks, and he always and now my niece owns it. My brother actually passed away of COVID, during COVID.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was only 50. But now my niece took it over, and the guy who managed the one store for my brother now still manages it. And when you hear her talk, it's like, he's family. He managed that place so that my brother could open other ventures and stuff.
Right.
And so, and of course, like you said, in the beginning, no, he had to do all that himself. He actually pulled my niece out of school for a week and told them she had the flu because the manager couldn't work that week and he needed someone else to, he needed extra people. And she tells that story, and,
labor, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's so, you do what you have to do, but he got his life back when he did let go of the reins, and he was able to take the vacations and, do the special things. And so, yeah, you have to, I think that's the biggest, I imagine that when entrepreneurs take that leap of faith and they get someone, even if, let's say the first person they get doesn't work out, when you find that person that does what you need them to do, the only question you're going to say is, why did I not do this sooner?
Right.
That's all. That's because
right.
it just alleviates.
So let me,
you built a successful hairdressing business.
Can I preclude you one sec, Zach?
Go ahead.
Okay. No, we're going to go your way. That's cool. Gina, sometimes we do these for 2 hours. Do you have a hard stop?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Because I definitely don't want to skip out the meat and potatoes. I want to get to your branding and consulting and what's driving you. And we can go on forever all night. So I'm going to let Zach go, but I just want to just make sure that we're not. I know we're not letting life pass by skipping the small moments, but I want to get to the big moments too.
Yeah, no, you're good.
All right.
So go ahead.
What's your cue, Zach?
That's where I was going. So
great.
You did the successful hair.
We have mental telepathy.
You did some other. You have mental.
Hey, Gina. Part of my stalking, I saw you were on Rise of the Resistance on February 11th of 2025. So is that correct?
Do
you know what that is? Do you not know what that is?
No.
Okay. Well, you're at Hollywood Studios at Disney World.
Oh yeah.
That's our backyard.
Oh, the Star Wars stuff.
Yes.
Oh, no. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Yes. Oh, yeah. No, I love Star Wars.
I was wondering what he was talking about. I was like, did she storm the White House? Was she part of it? I didn't know.
No, that's my brain went business. It didn't go sci-fi.
This isn't all business.
Okay. Oh, now, yeah. No, I could talk sci-fi all day. I grew up, like I said, with 5 brothers and I have 3 sons. I literally crush at some Lego Star Wars. I'm really good at that on the Xbox. Yeah.
So, are you a Disney?
No, that was amazing. I absolutely freaking loved the entire Hollywood studio. In
case you didn't know, Derek is a very adult Disney
I'm trying to connect with her. I'm just failing very
Pumbaa
bad.
and Simba behind you. I see that.
Totally Disney.
Yeah, that's a little kind of obvious right there. But no, my point of even asking that is very selfish because I try to get people who are really, it doesn't sound like you're a major Disney person, right? But you like it?
I'm not a major Disney person,
Okay.
correct.
But you
I'm
like
not
Star
like all
Wars.
Disney crazy. That's a
Gotcha.
cult following.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So my house is,
He's in
by
that
the way,
cult.
the bird about 6 miles from the parking lot of Magic Kingdom, so we can watch the fireworks every single night. So
No
my
way.
point of
That's
asking every single guest that is just to tell them that my 1% of Disney life is better than theirs, but everything else isn't. But just that 1%. So that's all.
got it. Got it. If I lived that close, I would want to eat at Epcot all the time.
So
Yes,
that
which is
cult
what we
seems
do.
pretty
So
cool.
like as pass holders, that's the number one thing, adult thing is eating, but not only the parks, but eating at the resorts.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I did
It's
one whole
fantastic.
day and just did that. Went to the resorts to eat
Yeah,
different things at each place. Yeah.
that's the best thing about being close is being able to say every outing or dinner we have, we go to like a resort for food.
Oh, it's incredible. The food is unreal there. Like I could
Yes,
talk food all all day as well. But yeah,
yes,
no, amazing.
That
yes.
that cult you were asking about, yeah, he's the leader of it.
Yeah, see.
Yeah. So,
Ha
hello, folks.
ha.
Um, we could we couldn't do that on our other show, but that's
What?
beside the point
Oh yeah, that's right. We couldn't go there. That stinks. But
because somebody worked for the mouse.
yeah. Anywho,
But anyway, so you did a successful hair salon. You've been successful in multi-level marketing, network marketing, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Uh, what are you doing now?
Oh, this was a big life shift, especially leaving a really successful team and in network marketing, just like you were saying, with having people like in the when you trained your other managers, right?
Right.
So one of the things that I started to really do in order to scale that network marketing business is train the leaders to do some of the trainings for me so that I could remove myself, right, from all of the, all the stress really. And so creating leaders that led their teams was really where I focused. And that's what helped me, scale to, there was only one rung in the top of the comp plan that I didn't get to. So I was right at the, like one level down from the top. So, and I scaled that in less than maybe about a year and a half. I mean, it was a really fast rise. And when I had done that for how many years, I was missing doing hair. So I was getting pulled in this direction. And I had started down a path of, meditation and energy healing and stuff. And I didn't think that I was even going to go down that. It was actually for my son. He was more interested in it. I meditated. I went to, have always been a student of personal development and self-help and all of that. If I could get paid to consume knowledge, that's what I would do. Like I read 6 books last month. Literally, I read nonstop. And I was at a Tony Robbins UPW, Unleash the Power Within, and the guy that does his meditation business, and as a very, very high strung entrepreneur, type A personality, go. I knew I was never able to shut my brain off. And you hear meditation can help, right? But if I tried to quiet my brain for even 30 seconds, it was going 50 miles an hour. Well, so with this conference, I meditated for the first time and actually felt energy. And I'm like, what is this? I had no idea. But I loved it. I'm like, well, if this is what meditation is, I'll sign me up. I'll do it. So I start following Master Co and I do meditation, and then I didn't feel what I felt. And I'm like a dog with a bone and I think you have to be ruthless in business where, when you see something, a vision, or you want something, you're going to work, until you get it. So I was chasing that feeling again. It took me about 6-7 months. And finally, I found out that the reason why I felt the way I did during the meditation is because there were 2,000 or thousands, more than 2,000, thousands of people doing it at the same time. So I didn't realize that. And I introduced my son to it. He's like, hey, I want to go get certified by this guy. And of course, he's, had gone to 1 year of college, decided that wasn't for him, kind of needed a path in life. I'm just the mom that's saying, okay, I guess I'll support you if this is where you want to go, like whatever. So we go to this class and I just learned more about it. And so fast forward, I keep growing my businesses like normal. I never think in a million years that I would want to take the direction that I'm taking right now. But when I saw what was happening in my life, as far as, giving me fulfillment, that as an entrepreneur, I was always chasing, the next income level, the next, the dream car. And I remember getting the dream car, driving it for 3 weeks thinking, is that it?
And then
Like,
feeling that distaste in your mouth of like, why did I
what the
do
heck?
this?
You think like you work, so that car
No
had been
one cares or thinks I'm cool. And
right.
I
And
Wait a
mean,
second.
it
I gotta
feels good
disagree.
to
I gotta
drive, and
disagree.
other than that,
I drive my dream car. So come on now.
so
no. But
I do too. I still drive
but
it and I still love it. I'm not saying I don't
sure.
love it. I love it. I mean, it's fun to
But
drive.
it doesn't do to you what you think it's
Thought
going
it
to
would.
do.
That's right. I did not. It's so, these are these
There's
things
no
that,
fulfillment,
right. And so that's when
discomfort.
I got to the
I wasn't
point
looking for
of, I
fulfillment.
believe, growing so much in awareness to what was actually going to provide my fulfillment, which isn't going to be dependent on things or people. We really have to get to the point.
Well, Gina, we have a problem as entrepreneurs, as in this. Sometimes this has to do with your upbringing and self-talk. And there's a really good self-talk guy, Dr. Shad Helmstetter. He's got a book, and he's got an app and everything with positive affirmation, all that kind of stuff. And you see people that grow up to be very successful who were told you can do anything you want as a kid. You can do that. Positive things. And you see kids of parents who are very smart but also very critical, sometimes not have the self-esteem, even though they're very smart in what happens and what can happen to. This happened to me. Maybe you have a taste of this. It sounds like all of your self-worth eventually you started just to derive out of your achievement,
Oh, absolutely.
which is a fancy terminology that I like to coin as bullshit. And that's not true. Like,
It took me a
achievement
lot of
is
years to realize
fantastic.
it.
Achievement is wonderful. High achievers do great things. They create things. The world needs it to go around, but that's not where your self-worth comes from.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and so with me, I had a cheerleader dad in a way who was actually a legit rock star with a gold record, traveled the country, like has pictures with Muhammad Ali on our walls, like all this stuff.
We need to get
Ended
into
up
that.
losing although his manager, this is back in the 70s, embezzled all their money, burnt the records down, burnt the building that the records were. Basically, he lost every little penny, but yet still remained this incredible, positive, like live your dream. I did, person. And then on the flip side, I have my mom that always, if it wasn't, I don't think she believes in entrepreneurship because it's not a steady paycheck and she likes the predictability of it. So it's having that chip on your shoulder of that's something to prove. But I'm so grateful.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for that because I would not have the drive that I do if I didn't have that in my past. However, I no longer have that need to prove anything to anyone. So that's where this catalyst and change happened when my heart started to become disconnected. And for me, I have to have my heart connected to my work. And I've been blessed to have all of my entrepreneurial journeys to include that. I mean, honestly, I feel like I have never worked really a day in my life because my heart has always been so involved in every single thing. If my heart's not involved, I really check out. And that's what happened. So I decided to take a massive shift and transition. Now I still do coach business owners. So I've done that on the side, like I said, for about 6 years now. So I still do that, but I don't want that necessarily to be what this next business is about. This next business brand is more bringing, hopefully, meditation and the retreats like that to the masses in a softer way. And then I developed a method that's called the Colorful Clearing Method. And as an entrepreneur and having my time be so precious to me, if you tell me, oh, I need to meditate, I'm going to tell you, well, I don't have the time to do that, right? I mean, we don't. So I feel what I developed is a way to spend 1 hour in your week doing a few different things in that hour, but it gives you the energetic benefit as if you meditated for a week and you only spent an hour. Because through my study in it, I took kind of parts of everything and put it together to biggest bang for your buck. And then hopefully that's where, this next business will do. We actually do all the sound myself, with binaural tones and frequencies. And I'm in a music studio creating it. My son helps me. So it kind of, my whole life took different, but my business background, I know marketing, I know branding, I know how to speak to specific target markets. And so I'm in flux now. I'm in this big, crazy transition. And
I've got something for you.
Oh boy.
Harry, I've reached the top.
So minus the actual fall there. That was my. Did y'all see that?
Yes.
I did.
I am so cool. That was my envisionment when you made the transition of understanding that your fulfillment and your self-worth, what you're learning about you, where you're learning that comes from, is almost just like you've made it, right? Like we all think, oh, making it is making six figures and getting our dream cars, and then all that might happen, and you're like, this feels comfortable, not fulfilling.
Correct. When you can align the
find
two,
out who you really are.
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, then it's like, oh, okay, this is where it's at. So how do I live up here and still maintain that stuff without my focal being that stuff?
Right.
Because that's not. We're not supposed to. We're not supposed to obsess over that stuff.
Yeah, but I
it's
believe it's not a bad thing to be comfortable.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's very good to have resources, but it's
never
very
be
bad
complacent.
So I think with me, it's monetizing passions and making sure that, every step has, I really truly feel that's kind of one of my gifts, is helping people find ways to monetize their passion, to connect that soul
Right.
purpose and align with something that is actually going to put money in their pocket.
That's money
I work
right there.
with a lot of artists. I work with a lot of a lot of even just spiritual people. I've worked with some coaches that, have that. It's a lot of times creatives have a hard time with the business, right? That's where that disconnect is. And I think when those two can be married in a way and you can help people to monetize their passion, that's when the fulfillment and the income
You're
is there.
taking us to church here in traditional Southern Baptist here. This is true. That's cool. That's like music to my ears. Trying to figure out how to, like you said, monetize your passion.
Yes.
And your passion should, if it's providing value to people, it should provide people say, oh, that monetizes itself. Well, sort of. It provides the opportunity, but if you don't have the business sense, you might not be able to catch that opportunity.
Absolutely.
So creative marrying the business side of things could produce a very fulfilling and comfortable life that's healthy, because it's okay to be comfortable. It's okay to have things. But it's best to be fulfilled and then get these things as a result. That is the real dream, right? Like,
well, it is. It's why we all, I think, become entrepreneurs, right? We have this.
We just don't know it, but yeah,
right. We have this vision of, oh, if I own my own business, I'm going to be able to make my own schedule and do what I want. But yet
that's the opposite.
It's the opposite. And so that's what I've learned. So now I carve out my off time, and my off time is so this business is going to be grown differently from the ground up. Not that I'm not putting in my extra hours. I will always put in my extra hours in the beginning. I know that's what you have to do. I've done it, like I said, many times, but I'm doing it with a different kind of filter on now, where I'm not taking every single opportunity, or I'm saying, you know what, it's the quality over the quantity of time. Like with my kids, you know, if I get one night a week with my daughter, we're doing something that's, you know, dinner and movies or whatever. I'm
Well,
making
some of
that.
the most successful people will say one of those key elements is exactly what you just touched on, the power of learning how to say no.
Oh, absolutely. And it's hard. And it's for women
Yeah,
entrepreneurs,
because especially when
it's
you're
10
a
times harder.
when you bring yourself up to provide value and please people and make them happy, make them feel good, which is what you're supposed to do so that money transacts into your pocket, you forget that leaving out no starts to make you a slave to that or provide unrealistic expectations or not put your time and energy in places that you started the business to be free for your daughter. You didn't start it to not no longer know who she is.
Right. And that's what happens a lot.
That's what happens to most people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You only
Absolutely.
see the people that succeed, but most people that happens too, and they're miserable.
Well, I think if people could take a page from the books of the successful people who have navigated that balance well, and I hate even using the term balance because I don't feel like that's really an achievable goal.
Right.
I think where entrepreneurs fall short is taking the time to periodically evaluate their happiness in all areas of their life and realize, for me, my most successful times as an entrepreneur have been the times where I've prioritized more of myself. And so that's where I realized for years I had it all backwards. You know, I'm at the gym at 5 a.m. I am in the pool swimming laps. Then I'm meditating. Then I'm journaling. And then I start my day and I get more done than I ever did. But I'm in the turn taking more time for myself, which is, I had that so backwards. I'm able to be, my brain is clear. I don't have the brain fog. I have the energy. I'm able to manage my time more effectively and get more done.
Well, the problem I think with entrepreneurism and sales and the way our mind thinks, we forever are chasing the dragon.
Oh, yep.
And sometimes you have to realize, even if you catch the dragon, it may not be what you want anyway. You know, for the longest time, I was in the automobile industry on and off for almost 30 years. And I succeeded to the pinnacle. I was the top GM. You know, you don't get much higher than that unless you're an owner. And I don't want to be an owner. They're all crazy. There's something wrong with them guys. Anybody who owns a car dealership, and all my friends out there own it, they know you're crazy. Something wrong with you. But you just realize I'm making buku bucks. I'm living very, very nicely, but I'm working 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. My kids are starting to call me uncle. My dogs growl at me because they don't know
Then
me.
you realize the only way you can keep doing that for 5 more years if there's an additional zero on your salary.
Right. But there's never, because you just
Right.
chasing the dragon.
Right.
You know, and I believe, to me, and this is how my mind works. I am very, very comfortable in my life, in my skin, but I will not allow myself to be complacent. So I'm always still going, always looking to better, always looking to grow. I have 2 different coaches right now. I am building an online presence. I'm also, starting to do voice acting, and that's my passion. I'm going for that. Will it make me millions of dollars?
So is our
No.
friendship to build not valuable to you?
I'm going to build you a grave in the backyard.
Mr.
You don't shush.
Mr. Caesar the Seventh in your empire.
All right, Brutus. I can
Hey,
feel the
listen,
knife coming
Gina,
in.
you must have read something similar to this.
Yeah, I definitely have read things similar to that, hands down, but not that one. But I wrote that down. I'm going to read it.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
how
I
Elwise-
hate
how
when
Elwise
people are like
really
read
is
this
that?
book because it's like you probably already have, and to some extent, like we can take in so much info and we have to actually execute too. But the synonyms in this book are savor, silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, or
And I do
journaling.
all of that.
So exactly. So when
Yeah.
so it was funny because, and I only bring this out because when you said those things, I was like, you do all of these things, like you had to have. S is for silence, right?
I love how he put that together for those, like, and he calls them that. It's a great kind of way to remember them all. But
Oh, I
yeah.
already did those.
Well, he
But
actually,
you are doing these things like you silence is your meditation. Affirmations is typically your self-talk. Visualization, that can be part of meditation or that can be part of prayer. Exercise, you already said, reading, and then scribing, which is journaling. So like
Journaling,
you mentioned, I think you've mentioned all of these things. So I thought it was very interesting that.
So I'll give
it's
you
funny.
one. Good.
Hal had cancer, and that's where he came up with this. He thought
Hal Elrod.
if he got through it, he was gonna
Well, yeah,
change
because he
everything.
co-wrote it with David Osborne, and they mentioned that.
Yeah.
I'll
Well,
definitely
his
pick it up.
first
I
book.
have it on my list. I'll definitely pick it up. But the affirmations part, you want to hear how crazy I am with it. Well, one, the visualization. So I actually created my own kind of energetic vision board course. And so I take people through using a special meditation where they visualize what's on their vision board, because vision boards, they worked for me, but not in the way that I've been able to attain in the past 5 years, knowing the energy side of things. I've been able to pull things off at a much faster pace. So I created that. So I do spend time every single day actually aligning my energy field with the energy field of the things on my vision board, aligned with music at the same time to emotionally, because when we put our emotions into our visualization, a lot of people don't realize that you can visualize what you want, but you need to actually adopt the emotion as if you already have it to make it be great.
So that there's a connection, like a neural link.
Yes, this is where the power goes. And then as far as the affirmations, now I got this from Dr. Joe Dispenza. I was at one of his big retreats in August in Dallas, Texas, and which was crazy. Talk about leaving your life and just immersing yourself in a reflective period. It was incredible, an incredible experience. It's way woo woo. I mean, it's definitely, into the more spiritual stuff.
Sure.
But we meditated for 5 hours the one day. And if you would have told me that I was going to be able to complete a 5 hour meditation, I would have said you're nuts. But it felt like 45 minutes, which is crazy. But he actually stood on stage and he said, when I was starting my business, and I mean, one of these retreats, talk about a business, one of his retreats, $5 million for a week is what just the ticket sales bring in. I don't know what his profit margin is, but literally he does these retreats all year, and it's $2,500 a ticket, and there's a couple thousand people there. I mean, it's just unreal. And he said he writes a list of 33 affirmations. He writes them in the present tense. These are his goals, and he reads them 3 times a day, 3 times. I have been trying to do this since January, and if I miss one time, like during the day, then I start over. It's now May.
I mean, you need at least
Unreal.
15 minutes of daily programming
Yes.
for a minimum of like 2 months to really get it sunk
It's
in.
unreal. What a commitment. I'm still trying. I haven't finished it yet, but like I am trying so hard. It is such a commitment to do that. But we speak things into
But you are programmed just like any computer program to do
Isn't that yeah?
what you're capable of. And I come from a household where, traditional achievement was everything and traditional structure was everything. And I have great respect and value for it, trust me. But it also led me to be a self-talk on the negative side of like, that's not realistic, or like, I can't do that. That's stupid of me to try that. Blah, blah, blah. Just too much of a realist. And I do believe I've reprogrammed quite a bit of it since last year, but I think I had that subscription for self-talk, which is essentially what you were doing just with an app. I'd go for 2, 3, 4 mile walks and just play it. I'd play it all in the car. I would do it 4 or 5 hours a day to have that reprogrammed, and also to speak those things into truth. Those goals you have, there's also an element of saying, I have this already.
Absolutely.
And it's a complete mental reprogramming to even get to the level where you actually truly, feel and believe those things anymore. It's a commitment. Like you said, it's a huge commitment.
I don't know who says it. Who says, yeah, well, who says successful people do what unsuccessful people aren't willing to do?
Yeah, what they
Right.
won't do.
So, right. With it.
100%.
So it's one of those things where I feel that is what sets a lot of entrepreneurs, apart from everybody else.
I mean, if you told me to come over and clean all of your toilets and get a flight, be gone all weekend to clean 4 toilets in your home, and you were going to pay me $4,000 to do it, I would already schedule my ticket right now. Right? Like I wouldn't care. Like I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care that it's a flight. I wouldn't care that it's someone else's toilet. I wouldn't care. Right? Like, and so I think like that was how we were successful in manufacturing too. Like what I would have a family member say, "Hey, we don't want to run this small amount of parts because the revenue is not great." And I'm like, well, listen, no one wants to run that because there's fixed costs with it. We can charge so much for that small amount of parts that we can make more money, 10 times the money off 20,000 big parts than we can off 500,000 of these tiny parts. So who cares what the fixed cost is? Like when you amortize and spread it out, there's way bigger margin. Who cares if that machine's only running 2 hours instead of 2? That's great. That means utilization, like you can make more bottom line with less utilization. That's a good thing. And it was all of that theme of doing what other people won't. And it's like, what is their pride in adding value to anything? Like if there's value to add and it brings you joy and it brings the end consumer consumption joy, the content is less important of what you're doing, right? The actual physical service or good you're providing is less of a factor than, yeah, it's hard. That's why people don't do it. So that's why people get paid to do it. That's why people find value in that. Just pretty, but to me at this point, seems pretty basic. Like
basic. That's right. But a lot of people, I don't think
they have ego. And if you have ego in business, you
Right.
have nothing.
That's correct.
You
That's
need
correct.
to be the dumbest person in the room because that means you're learning the most. And any billionaire will tell you that they want to be the dumbest person who doesn't know anything, and make all controlled failures and just predictably control exactly where they're going based on the knowledge and the tests they have around. That's like common knowledge. But if you have an ego, you can't ever envision like, why would I ever want to make a mistake? Because that's how you get to the center of the lollipop.
So true. Very true. And honestly, I know that is kind of what happened about a year ago when I decided to do this shift. It was like all of a sudden, like I can think I shed the ego. It's like I knew that didn't work for me for 46 years. I was able to, get some amazing things, but it's when I had just a big shift in where I wanted to take all my business knowledge. And then it's falling in love with your customer, and just constantly
Zach
positioning yourself to to serve them, right?
Everybody loves me.
Yeah.
Zach and I became friends. Zach was my customer before we were friends.
Ah,
He fell in love with me.
Look at that. See, that's right.
Sorry,
I mean,
man.
I
fell in
have
love with me.
clients and customers that they haven't had a transaction from me in a year since I stepped away. They'll still reach out and send me things that they thought of me from when they looked at something. Like that's a relationship. And that's where I feel branding. Like right now, I know it's Derek, right?
Derek.
Zach has the beard.
Derek.
I'm Zach. He's B-Rec.
So right now, I know looking behind you that you're obsessed with Disney based off of that right there. If I'm obsessed with Disney and I don't care what product you sell, I already know I can connect with you on that, right? But you, as I know that's not your brand, but I now know something personal about you to connect with. And that's where I've coached brands to kind of step out from behind, the camera, be in front of the camera. And as an owner, especially restaurant owners, I work a lot with them.
I saw the Turn on the Eat show there.
Yeah, creating I don't know if I'm taking that as I will eventually. That was more of a passion project, and I'm realizing capacity issues. I love to talk about food. I do work with restaurant owners, but I have to do one thing at a time, scale, and so I'm working with a coach myself. I've worked with coaches like Zach always. So my coach was like, okay, you know what? We need laser focus here. I know you have all these one step at a time. So I'm going in a different direction. That will be back though at some point. But when I coach restaurants to step out to let people see, get the story, get the heart behind why they did the food, and then have some of their employees work their social media for them. My salon, when I went to work in an actual salon, the younger girls, they ran our social media. I would give them clips of my filming. They would do the edits and they would post it on the salon site. A bartender could do that. Maybe you might have to do a perk or something for them, but you can get people in your space to help with your social media, and then in turn share those stories of why that bartender's a single mom and she works all day. But let's get it to know her, because then, you know what, if somebody has the choice of where they're going to get takeout that night, they might just decide to go get takeout from there because they know a little bit about that person behind the counter.
Yeah, so I kind of do that with one of my businesses too. Like I have my manager's young, but so our company car has commercial insurance, but I'll have them just drive it around with the Instagram sticker, and then we have these. Zach, you don't even know this yet, but we have these meta glasses now where we're going to be doing more car shows lately. Take the car to show and all that, and like live streams using that. So I let him do kind of like a lifestyle / branding thing for us, and because I hate social media. I'll do it. I've done it a million. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Sorry. I'm okay at it, but I don't like it. How many boxes is that check? Like 0.5 out of 2, right? So it just gives you a little bit better ability to kind of like you said, create a story, which, with that business right now, that's one of the larger voids is the lack of the story right now, since we had a pretty heavy hitting social media person that left at the beginning of the year, and we've had kind of that void. So it's now like, well, what kind of tools and things, I got this gimbal, this DJI microphone, this work phone, this work car, these meta glasses, and these car shows. How do we get this a day in the life of this worker, and then while they're at the job, or lifestyle off of the job or at the show or whatnot. And that's all kind of in motion. So if people have the willingness and capacity to do that, it's much better for your business, because it shows that there's like a lifeline, lifeblood. It's not just the owner. Well, the owner dies, the business folds.
Oh,
No,
absolutely.
it has nothing to do with the owner. The owner's just the bank.
Well, and they say what facts tell, stories sell. So
stories sell everything.
Stories sell, and the why. People don't care what you sell until they care why you sell it.
I think it's Simon Sinek,
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So you have to be more transparent, I think, and that's what will set your business apart when you kind of pull back that curtain and you get a little bit more vulnerable in front of the camera, whether you run your social media or you have somebody else do it. Those little tiny nuggets of, vulnerability or sharing staff stories, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, people relate to stories, and when you tell your personal story, if there's a connection with that person, they're gonna pay attention to it. I had a speaker in Dallas. He was an ex-NFL player. He's one of the top speakers. Safety for the 49ers. What was his name? He's from Bo Eason. Have you ever heard of that name?
No.
Bo Eason. He used to play for the 49ers, but he's one of the more sought after speakers. And that's his whole take, is just all he does. He just tells his personal story with imagery and with movement and engagement. Just his story. And you'd be like, well, how's this connecting? And you connect with it. And it's the most powerful speech ever, just because it's focused on his story. And he's right. And that's why, me personally, like Zach's a good salesperson. I'm a horrible salesperson because I don't enjoy the story, right? But the people who enjoy the story, that is selling.
Oh, it so is.
I am the storyteller.
You are the storyteller, dude. So much where I think
anyone good in sales is a storyteller.
You have to be a chameleon. So you have to find that little nugget.
Tonality and
you have to find that nugget that you can become relatable with the customer.
That's right. It's the rapport.
It doesn't matter what. I can find something from somebody that suddenly will click.
But is that how you make the selection of which story to use?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
It could be like I know exactly what you're talking about. I could be on the phone with somebody who's 25 or 75, and I can figure out a way to pull something to get that person to instantly connect. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously we've been chatting about entrepreneurs and sales and everything. So that obviously there's a connection there. I see your name. You're a paisan.
Of course.
What does
My
that
mother.
mean?
My mother's a 91-year-old from Brooklyn.
See, my grandmother came over from the Abruzzi region, and my grandfather was Intradaqua. They met here, but so I'm
Yeah.
40.
My grandmother's from Naples and my
Okay.
grandfather's from Sicily.
Yeah. So my
Never
maiden
told me
name
that.
is Fiella, is the maiden name. Gina Marie
Yeah.
Fiella. It doesn't
Yes.
get much more Italian than that.
My mom's maiden name was Loprinzi.
Mambo Italiano.
So my father, now I'll flip it if you were from the Slavic region, because my father's from the Ukraine.
Oh,
So,
okay. I have a little Irish in me.
but
think
I
it's a
so I
40%
don't
Irish.
I'm not like in your space. I can't see other things but I can go off your name and all of a sudden now
Absolutely. And
and
you're
from up
already
north.
rapport. Yep.
You're from up north. I'm from Jersey. You're from Pennsylvania. We all know we're better, but it's okay. You know,
Right.
anybody from up north,
We
we're
think
better.
you are.
We're all from up
I'd
north.
say Northerners are, yeah.
Have you been to Jersey? Come on now. I
You're
mean,
from
your brother had a
Jersey.
pizzeria. He had to have the water brought over. Come on.
You're from Jersey?
Yeah.
And you do not have the typical Jersey
So
sound to your name
I left Jersey in
or
'94.
sound to your voice.
I left Jersey in '94. I moved to Texas for a year, and then I came out here. I was going to go to school, the school out here called Full Sail for audio production. I wanted to be an audio engineer. It cost way too much. Then my parents were willing to pay for it, but they said either that or we'll help you with a house. And my ex-wife was like, "Oh, we're buying a house." So I went to broadcasting school where they taught me how to speak and got rid of my accent.
Look at that.
Because nobody down here wants to hear me talk like this over here. You know what I'm saying? So now, if you ride with me on I-4 in bumper to bumper traffic, you're going to hear Jersey come out.
Right.
It just is what it is. But and if I'm around somebody from Jersey, I hear the accent. I can bring mine out.
If I have a couple drinks, you can hear the Pittsburgh, but
Yeah.
it's only with a couple, and I have to be, like you said, next to somebody who has it. But
Not for nothing, but Pittsburgh's got some good pierogies.
they do.
I'm just saying.
There's
There's a place down here. The guy's from Pittsburgh. It's called Frogger's. He brought it down here, and he's got pierogies on the menu. And I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me. And I tried them out, and I was like,
there's
all
a
right.
lot of different varieties because a lot of different churches think they can, they out
My grandmother,
each other or whatever.
my grandmother made them from scratch,
Oh, those are the best.
pan fried them with
Oh, yeah.
butter and onions.
Oh yeah.
I have
Only
a
Only way.
Ukrainian grandmother, my wife's grandmother, and she would make those as well
Best.
as glubki and the kielbasa. Oh, no, they would get it, but
Galumpki.
the sauerkraut. Yeah, oh my gosh.
Galumpki.
The first time I ever had it, I didn't really like it, and then like by the third time, I was like, "This is the best food I ever had."
Did you ever have halupchi?
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Now, are you talking about halushki or halushki?
No, it's halupchi.
That's how you
Halushki.
say halushki? Like I call it halushki. But it's
Well,
the
it's
same
halushki.
dish, the
Now,
cabbage,
it
the
could
noodles,
be-
butter and onion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So that's that's the proper way to say it.
Yeah, halupchi.
Okay. It's amazing. I have made that. I've made that for concession stands in the years past that sells really well.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, now down here in Florida, we don't have anything.
Yeah, that's at our football games
really
and
good
cheer events.
seafood. You want seafood,
have
you got
that.
great seafood. And we got Publix, so but we got good subs. They're not Jersey subs, but it is what it is.
We have probably the greatest like diversity of food in Orlando, probably you could ever think, but I just don't think. And we have Disney, and we have like a melting pot of cultures, but it's not like there's no character and history behind it. Like there's just no. I don't know.
Right, you go to New York City and you're going to go to Little Italy. You're going to go to Chinatown.
and you're going to
go,
pay $300, but you're still going to be like, that's the best food ever.
There was this place. So I grew up
9,000% city tax.
I grew up in Central Jersey, and there's a town next door to me called Princeton, which people have heard of it. Yes, it's where the university is, and and they had a little hoagie shop that you'd go there after being out for the evening doing things you shouldn't be doing. and you go get a hoagie at like 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever time it is, and you just sit on the curb and the grease is running down your arm because it's a cheesesteak with, I was the odd man because I like a good Philly cheesesteak, but I like jalapenos and bacon on mine, which everybody thinks is like sacrilegious, but it is whatever. I don't care. And, so we don't have that stuff down here. Like we don't have the big crunchy good bread or pork roll, egg and cheese or something like that. So when I find somebody from up north, I can relate because suddenly we'll go right to food because everybody up from up north, that's all we do is eat.
That's right.
Especially if you're Italian. Sundays at my grandmother's was like,
Yep, same here.
My grandmother used
Every
to tell
Sunday.
me, my grandmother used to tell me, "State zitta, mangia, fatta grande," and I'd be like, "Well, I didn't let her down." So,
Yeah, no, that's how we grew up. And like I remember Christmas Day, going to get dressed for church and your coat smelling like fish because of the 7 fishes the night before. Like
see, I'm not Catholic, so no, I
so
can't
that
relate
was
to
that
yeah.
was then I would be like, oh my goodness, we would stink. We'd be like the stinky family in church because our clothes smelled like that. Now I've never made pierogies, but my one dish is manicotti, and I do the crepe noodles from scratch and
Yep.
all the filling, and yeah, it's pretty
I
good.
do. I like to do
once a year.
so. My two go-to dishes, and I haven't done it in a while. I was reminded of this. Is chicken parm, double breaded chicken parm over angel hair pasta with a vodka sauce.
Oh, nice.
And I also like to do lasagna. But see, when I make my filling, I
Uh-huh.
mix the ragout with the meat and the sauce. I mix it all together, and then
See, I do that with my filling I don't put the sauce, but I do that for my filling for my manicotti. I'll put like sausage with the ricotta and lots of other cheeses and spinach, and then I'll mix that up. But my chicken dish would be chicken saltimbocca, would be the one that I do with like Romano egg batter and Marsala wine sauce.
yes,
And,
my wife's wanting me to learn to do chicken marsala. So
Stop! Do you?
Oh,
I did
man.
not eat dinner yet. You need to
well,
stop.
whose fault is that? I had dinner. You know what I had?
It's your fault for talking about it. I don't take accountability for anything.
I had ribs.
Thanks.
We're in the
That just
South.
added more pain to the problem of good sounding food. He's like, I'm so sorry. I just had ribs. Well, thanks, man.
But back to the entrepreneurism and the saleship, and I'm actually I'm being coached to become a coach, an online coach. I'm going to do a podcast, a coaching podcast. We're going to continue this podcast, but I'm also going to do my own show, which is going to be where I hope to start making money that way too, in coaching. And it's just like one of the things you have to train is, you're right, you have to love your customer. You have to realize they're your bread and butter. It's not just some schmuck who's going to, you're going to go cut his head off. And that's why you have to learn something. I'm the worst. I have zero short-term memory, so I don't remember people's names. I'm everybody's buddy. But I remember other things. So I have customers call up and be like, hey, remember we were looking at this and this? And I'm like, oh, you got the such and such dog or whatever, and then so I remember that's
I
how
just say no.
I can't. That's why I sold more than you.
Well, you're just trying to be a nice. You want to be honest and brutal, or nice and whatever you are. You have the brain surgery story. You got excuses.
That's Lorianne's line.
So
You did have brain surgery.
Gina,
Whenever I screw up, my wife says that all the time. Well, you did have brain surgery.
so Gina, tell us about colorful. In English, tell us about the colorful learning method and where you are going.
So the projected plan is to hold online retreats through the summer, and then kind of hone the retreat method, and then go to in person in September in the Pittsburgh area. And we've done, so I had to market test, right? Because you have an idea. You don't know if it's going to get the feedback. So in the kind of late winter and fall, we started to do small sessions in Pittsburgh to kind of get okay, do people like this? Let's see what does it feel? Is there any part? And so after we did that, that's where we're going to go with kind of just expanding on it. And I'm hoping that people, at least the feedback that we got from our small sessions was especially during a journaling part. A lot of people have a hard time, getting stuff out on paper, and it's so beneficial. Not only for calling in what you want to manifest and your goals, writing them down, right? There's energetic power to that. You can wish and hope and dream all you want, but when we actually take time to physically put it in, to this world this time, and through writing, it has a little bit more power. And some of the feedback that we've got from that was they thought it was the music. Well, one, we're at the session, and I only put the one session for 5 minutes for the journaling, what they wanted to release, what they wanted to clear. I think having the term healing is a little more woo-woo. I'm hoping that people will be more apt to try when we're just saying clearing. We're clearing out some of the stress. We're clearing out because we absorb it all the time. So it's just like brushing your teeth or washing your face. This is kind of just energy maintenance. And so we played the track for 5 minutes, and the people, everyone at the class, they're writing furiously. I'm like, look over at my son. I'm like, you got to play it again or something. And so we ended up doing both journaling sessions for 10 solid minutes, and still had to stop people from writing. And there were afterwards, we had them fill out a questionnaire, and they said it was because of the music, they thought. And we made the music intentionally with specific hertz to increase focus. So even if you guys are working on, any entrepreneur, any student, whatever, you can go on YouTube right now and find focus music, right? Focus tracks. That's all it is.
Does it kind of sound like the same stuff that you would play on YouTube to fall asleep to start lucid dreaming?
So we
like a spa.
Yes. So we have sleep tracks that are designed to that, but the music for the actual clearing method sessions, I believe it's just, I don't know, some of it has a little more beats to it, and coming from a musical family, but not really playing actual instruments, I never thought that at this stage in my life that I would discover something that was like a brand new talent for me. And I think it's just my love for music, and growing up having my father explain the structure of a song, and just so much, we ended up creating what I think is a really cool experience for people to really just devote an hour a week intentionally writing what they're wanting to get rid of, what they want to call in, a little bit of movement, breath work, meditation. It's like, it has a little bit of everything, and it's done in such a way that when you're done, people had said they felt great for a whole week after. So that was kind of my...
What do you do for breathing work?
So the breath work is actually a form of somatic breath work, but we make our own music for it. And then we layered our own breath so that you have kind of a guided, rhythmic, you can hear the breathing, and it's directed. So we really don't have to do much of the session live. We record pretty much everything. So we're just kind of facilitating it. So it's really neat. And I think it's going to be something that people put, at least from our reviews. One person wrote, I would incorporate this method into my daily or weekly lifestyle. So yeah, it's all coming together.
Have you ever done any neuro reprogramming treatment or anything like that, where you basically retrain your mind based on breathing, strictly breathing and imagery, where when you're breathing correct. So I did this in 2015 when it was kind of new, something called NeuroCore, and you would go 3 times a week, and you would watch a movie essentially for an hour. And when you were breathing wrong, the movie would be choppy. When you were right, it would, and as humans, we've developed this breathing technique where we breathe in with our mouth and don't use the whatever you call them in the nose to filter out whatever's bad, and then breathe out our nose, which is opposite, where we want to breathe in our nose and push out of our mouth.
Yes.
And then we also breathe 10 to 12 times a minute, whereas the rhythm to get in line with your lungs, with your heartbeat, is more 5 or 6 times a minute.
Absolutely.
So we actually, that entire $2,000 program is essentially going. I'm going through my nose, inhaling. Watch. 12 seconds.
Yes.
5 in, 1 hold, 6 out.
So, and
for
sometimes
for
I'll
for,
do
for X
5
amount of time for
6
3 minutes.
There's lots of different
Right.
rhythmic things like that, but that's exactly what's in the session.
It'll put you to sleep in 3 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, like everyone's like, I've never like, everyone has their night here and there. Maybe for me, maybe once or twice a year, literally. But I've never taken more than since knowing that the last 10 years. I mean, taking more than 3 to 4 minutes to fall asleep is
Oh,
totally
same here.
not in my vocabulary. It's like you lay
Yeah.
down.
Yep. I fall asleep. Yeah. It's just, yeah, you're
Your
almost,
heart and your
what
lungs
you're
get in the
doing,
same rhythm, and your body just completely goes where you want it to go.
you're putting
It's
yourself
crazy.
almost in a state, like a meditative state by your breath. And when you focus on your breath and that's all you're focusing on, that is taking your mind off of the rapid thoughts and all of it. And it's centering yourself and you're grounding yourself. And therefore you're able, to fall asleep, have a deeper rest. And it's incredible. I never thought in a million years that I would take a life direction like this, but what it's been able to do in my life and how it's been able to help me not only function with a higher level of productivity, but also with a greater level of peace and contentment and actual fulfillment. I can't not show people how to bring this into their life anymore. And that's where I just couldn't keep it all to myself. And I need to expose people to how different their life can be. I've lost 3 brothers in the last 4 years and a nephew. And I can say through all of that grief and all of that loss, if I would not have had the education around some of these mindfulness techniques and the ability to control my emotional response, the ability to process emotions in an effective way, all of my businesses could have gone under with the amount of crap I was having to deal with. I mean, because, it was actually during the Bridgerton series that my first brother passed away. And literally he had just, he was so excited for it because I had sent him pictures of the costume. He was a great supporter of that. And then I remember I was in costume number 1. The next day, I had 4 costumes planned. The next day he dies. And so then I'm left with, oh my goodness, I got to put costumes on the day after my brother died. So I took a day, I took one day, and I knew though in my heart that he would want me to keep going. That's his on, I knew he's my biggest supporter. But that's what all these lessons in all of this work, this mindfulness work, meditation work, spiritual, whatever.
Well, to come to that realization through your grief is pretty strong, right? Like you have all your stages of grief, and you're like almost in shock, devastation, and to be able to have the clarity to say, "Well, he wants me to do this, so I'm not going to not do this. Like I'm not going to, I'm going to grieve, but I'm going to celebrate. This is a celebration of that, not a giving up on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Is a
It's even
extremely mature discipline to have to say, well, you're almost able to compartmentalize and say, hey, this has to go through. This is a respectful thing to do what he wanted me to do. This is a celebration thing, and then it doesn't mean. So many people give people guilt for doing that. Like, oh, you're not grieving, you didn't care. No, again, the magic word here is bullshit. You do. Like
it's the awareness to know that we have the ability to decide what we feel when we feel it. And I'm not saying that compartmentalizing is healthy, but when you know that you are that in control of your emotional response, that's where true empowerment lies as a person, I believe, as a being. And when my second brother passed away, I found out that he had overdosed, which he had addiction for 20 years. Literally, while I was in the car going to step out for prom pictures for my last son, and I looked over at my daughter, I had to tell her, and I said, Avery, we have a switch in our brain. It's like a light switch. And we can decide anytime what to turn on and what to turn off. And I said, I'm extremely upset. I know, that Uncle Matt is gone. This was her first dealing with. I said, but this moment is about these kids. It's about their dresses. It's about celebrating Alex's senior prom. We're not going to say anything, and we're going to get out of the car, and let's just focus on the dresses, focus on how pretty they are, look at the details of them. And I gave her some techniques to literally just kind of laser focus into that moment. I said, later on we'll grieve, but right now we got to get through. And so these different experiences with it taught me so much, as I just having the awareness to control. That's
funny. 15 years ago, almost to the date, my wife and I, we weren't even married yet, but we had 3 grandparents pass away in a 24-hour period. My grandmother, well, they were old, right? So it wasn't like this. It wasn't an ultra devastation.
That was heartless. They were old.
Sorry. It wasn't a devastating thing, but it was, it's still an unsettling thing, right? So
Yeah.
Still death. So I had my grandmother pass, then her grandfather, and then her great aunt, and it was a 24-hour period.
Wow.
My grandmother passed, I want to say, on a Friday evening. My cousin on my dad's side, the grandpa, the husband to that grandma passed, had a wedding that Saturday. And the husband did the wedding. This is like a 12 hours after his wife passed. No, sorry, not 12. Being a little dramatic. We'll go 18. Like there's a difference. And it was, I never, like, this is a long time ago, so I didn't know these things, but like he must have, right, a maturity at that age to kind of understand that he wanted his, grandson to have a fantastic day or whatnot. But that was kind of I haven't thought about that, but you made me regurgitate that in my mind. Like, holy crap, that's crazy. Like, just to be able, the capability to do that is, it's like superhuman. It's like you said, you are the master of your emotions.
We all are. And I think we all are if we practice at it. It's mental aerobics. That's really what meditation and emotional mastery is about.
It's awareness.
Yes.
It's awareness when your emotion wants to take over you.
Well, it's deciding how you're going to respond rather than react. We are creatures. We react. We react at everything. And especially in business, we are always these victims of circumstance. Oh, he quit on me. And oh my goodness, now I'm stuck in it. And so we're deciding to let that person's actions either steal our joy from right now or say, okay, he quit. That happened for a reason. Let me regroup. Let me think, okay, we're going to take a beat. I don't question anything that falls in my path now. I no longer freak out if a deal goes wrong or if a sale falls through. I don't respond like I used to. And I think that makes this next journey going to be even more special.
Because you sound like you're going to absolutely kill it. Like you sound really powerful. Like I don't think it necessarily means powerful. We can control everything in our lives, that there's no greater. I don't know what your beliefs are. I'm a religious, Zach and I are religious people. I have pretty strong, I've seen God work in my life in very recent times, but so I don't believe I have control over any of that. But what you're saying, the power to control how you direct your life where you're not constantly in reaction, plug a hole mode, is extremely powerful and empowering, should say. So like, it sounds like you're going to be very empowering and also passionate about the next step. Like you exude success with it, like in terms of like doing very well and very valuable. So I wanted to like ask you, like, are there any certifications that you think like would be improve conversion rate and credibility that, like you said, there's a little bit of woo woo to it, and I think you have to have some element of faith or greater power to believe in your own power, which is real. That's not foo foo. I don't care what people say. That's real. Is there any like credibility certification or partnership that you've thought of that might like make people be like, you're the authority because you speak, your speaking is authoritative and your knowledge is authoritative and your understanding is authoritative. Is there any credential you think that will help you with that?
So eventually I would like to get either an NLP certification, neuro linguistic programming, and eventually maybe possibly, I thought about this the other day, like a kind of learn about hypnotist, like the way you speak. When I do some of the meditations, when I'm recording, I can get my voice in a really nice, actually, I said some of them they work too well, because when we were testing them out, people were asleep within under 3 minutes. I'm like,
Can you put Zach to sleep right now so that
No.
Zach,
You
I
can't.
want you to take
No.
a few deep breaths in through your nose,
No.
out through your mouth. See, so
I want to go to sleep.
I tailor my voice for that work, just like you're doing, Zach, with
Sure.
voice work.
Absolutely.
It is you have to learn it, but I do have my almost highest levels of pranic healing. So we've gone to multiple classes, been trained by Master Ko himself. And that's where a lot of the foundation of some of the knowledge that I have.
And the reason why I bring it up is just because I want you to be able to reach skeptical people, because I was programmed as a child to be skeptical and kind of negative self-talk, whatever you want to call it. But I'm not anymore. But I'm not a big foo-foo person. But everything you are doing and say, I know is true. It works. I know it is. Scientifically, although there's not a lot of degrees in this type of stuff, right? So I want you to reach like CEOs that are like, hey, you got 10 seconds, I'm $500 an hour, shut up. And like, because you can improve their life, right? So that's why I asked that, where, some people are going to be looking at it more skeptically, and how can you touch them, because it's very important.
So, and I get where you're going with that too, because I want to touch on it also. Not only CEOs, when you train someone to meditate, what do you train them to meditate on? Because a lot of people hear the word meditation and they think Eastern mystical arts, and it's not, so right off the bat, a closed-minded, which I am not, but a closed-minded Christian would be like, oh, no, don't meditate. But I have a pastor friend who meditates every morning. Now he's in prayer and reading the word, but that's his meditation, and he happens to use the word meditation, and he does it for 4 to 5 hours every morning. So
love it. So I think that's where kind of the hat that you said you're able to put on for your audience, that I'm hoping will be what helps my credibility in the industry. I wish there was a certification that would make, metaphysics. Honestly, that's probably what the study of this type of stuff is. And I think we're going to see a massive boom in growth. When I did my market research, as all business owners do, the meditation industry right now is valued between $7 and $9 billion. And in the next
10x,
8 to 10 years, it is going to get anywhere between, I believe it's either 30 or 50 billion, or 50 or 70. I can't remember my numbers. I have the projections in, but so if that's going to tell you anything about how more and more people,
Zach, I'm like, oh, please, God, give me a job,
are going to open their mind to it.
You're going to become a master meditator.
Well, I'll do whatever.
You know what? I'm going to put this on your show right now. I don't know how many people are going to see it. But if I get what I feel was given to me, and all of this. So I do believe in a higher power. I believe that, I want to be, though, that soft platform, that springboard, like Zach's saying. How can we get more people to open their mind to this without that immediate association with the woo-woo side of it, or the Eastern side, or the West? What is it? Eastern over there.
I mean, I have great atheist questions if you ever want them.
Well, there can be
that no one can answer, which is kind of your answer right there.
Be spiritual. Like, that's the thing that people don't realize. An atheist can actually be spiritual, as long as, if they're saying that they're drawing from the universal energy source, no matter what it is.
So, Gina, do you think you are the know-all, be-all wisdom of the universe in your body, the end power, the greatest power of all wisdom in the universe?
No.
Does an atheist think that?
I don't know.
Yeah, they can't, because something developed, made you something. Yeah. So if you can answer that question, you are God. So since you can't, you could pretty much get anyone to buy into the reality that what you're doing is real.
So I guess that's the thing. I want people to make their own mind up. So draw on whatever source you want to draw on. I'm going to draw on what I draw on. But if Zach thinks one thing and you think another, this can all work no matter what source of power you draw on.
Sure.
So if I'm speaking to, let's say, a Christian church and I'm trying to get them, I would say prayer is talking to God and meditating is listening. So I would open their minds up to a different way to look at it like that. If I'm, getting someone who thinks meditation is, out there, we're only just quieting the mind for a little tiny bit and shutting off the rapid thinking. That's all we're doing. And that's healthy with today's society and our phones. And so if I get my way, I will eventually open the nation's first chain of multisensory meditation studios that will lead into retreat centers that can be used by lots of different people if all the work, it's in the works in a way, but I'll put it out. That's what I'm hoping to eventually bring to.
So where can we find more info, or what kind of offer might you have that we can share, when we're
So two
posting
different
this?
places. So Colorful Living with Gina Marie is Facebook. Colorful Living on YouTube is where I have my Turn on the Color podcast, which I will tell you there's an episode that's going to be dropping in a few weeks where I got to interview a 97-year-old woman that can still play classical piano. It is an amazing episode. I went to visit her. It was unreal. She talked about grief and it was just beautiful. So I'm excited to do some
Awesome.
local interviews, right? Not just online, like get in person, meet these amazing people that are out there. On TikTok, I believe it's just Colorful Living with Gina, but it's Colorful Living with Gina. You can find me all over. It's there. And then for your audience, I'm doing something that I really have never done before in my business consulting years. I'm going to offer just a Facebook review or a website review, and it'll be 15 minutes of me screen recording. There'll be a jot form wherever you're watching this. You can fill it out. It'll be a 15-minute little screen recording of just some tips and tricks after I look at your page, like, oh, you're not using your featured section. I would put a welcome video here. There's so many little nuances to laying out your brand to make it so that your social media pages are your digital business card. It kills me. I went on a food truck's website the other day because I saw it at a brewery. It took me 15 minutes to find their menu. That should not be. There's a way to really easily put that in, and that's where. So many businesses aren't utilizing all the features. So that's what will be there. And then, of course, if you follow, you'll learn about the retreats. You'll learn about the online sessions that we offer, and all
so
that.
We'll have you email that. Did you guys exchange email addresses or just Facebook or?
Yes.
We have
How do you
emails.
think she got the link?
Okay, yeah. So we'll have you send all that, and we can get
Yes.
that all when we publish and everything. And
Perfect.
make sure that offering is available.
Yes, our
to Zak's world.
No, it goes to No Brainer Show.
I know. I'm trying to waken you up.
I had some pointers for your website. I can tell you those later.
Whose?
Oh no! We did.
I know.
Whose website?
Okay, so the No Brainer.
Did we even build it yet?
Well,
yes,
no.
I sent it to you.
Just
liked
the
it.
name. No Brainer doesn't let me know what.
No Brainer Show, but yeah.
No Brainer Show. Like we need a tagline there. Like No Brainer Show, helping entrepreneurs take the thought about, take the thought out of business, or, no brain tag, whatever. Like we need a tagline so people know, bam, that's exactly what.
We'll have to discuss. Maybe we'll have to hire you, because our thing was more like we want just such a strong brand that we can, like, tell me Joe Rogan Experience It tagline. There isn't one, right? It's just a name, right? Now, obviously, we haven't done.
He is his brand. That's why.
Exactly. So, like, that was kind of like
with me in a little way.
That's kind of the struggle, behind doing something that's, because we don't always have business people. We have fitness people, medical people, home inspection people. We're going to have financial people, traveling people. I mean, it's just it's such more of an actual social exchange.
Your thought is to
it's not real niche.
Make it easier for it's like doing the thinking for somebody. Here, I'm offering something that like you don't have to, like, this is a no-brainer, right? This is a no-brainer. That's technically, at least what I'm understanding. So this is exactly kind of what I do when I work with people. We really get clear on, well, what do you want to offer? How do we want that to come across? Because it has to come across instantly. Like it at least, and you might not have to convince the person right out of the gate that what you have is a fit for them, but you have to intrigue them enough to want to click around, want to learn more, and want to see what you're about. So that's where the messaging is so important. What intrigues them? And that's where you can create, honestly, like, titles for yourself with whatever, like the no-brain expert for this or whatever, and give yourself kind of little, niche markets of your own. And maybe, you bring in the entrepreneur, Zach brings in the whatever, and start to really kind of get that clarity of what you're bringing and why, and what's the value people get instantly from watching your show.
I'm just so unconventional with YouTube, because with anything else, I'd be very niche and very specific. And with this channel, I think, I don't know, Zach, we don't talk about it that much, but we just want to have such interesting guests that it's just the brand.
That's why
It's just Theo Vaughn. It's just Joe Rogan. Like, it is. There isn't. I don't. It's really weird, because like it goes against everything that what you would say is, obviously you want a niche. Obviously you want to have an idea what it's about. But like, what if you want to not have any boundaries and be evergreen? That's so not good these days. Yet it's also the top content. So it's like a limited availability of that attention at that level.
So I feel like you can still have that come across with something that gives a little bit more information.
It used to be no-brainer show, entertainment for your mind.
Okay.
That's still really broad, though, dude.
It is still good.
I know, but
how about Zach sucks and Derek is awesome? And every week we take 2 hours to prove this in any scientific methodology that you could come up with. I think is perfect that we should do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I've reached the top here, and I'm done. I rest my peace. That's my George Costanza. Well, and then I leave the room,
And sometimes it's just talking it through, right, with somebody, and really getting, I know that's exactly what I was kind of the same way just about a month ago. I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I know I can do this. And Colorful Living will have a large structure. I'm hoping to have, a colorful kids program someday, all this stuff, but you have to start kind of with one and go off. And and that's what my coach did. She helped me get the clarity. I'm starting like a grief program, kind of coaching for that. I never thought I would do that in a million years. She walked me through a clarity exercise, and that's what kind of came. It's, what do you think you could talk on and help people with now?
It's like you can't scale to 8 things until you scale to one thing.
That's
and then you can replicate it to 8 things.
Yes. So that's kind of what that's why I'm
all right, Gina wins.
All right.
I lose. I'm going to go eat pizza.
I know. I'm going to eat too. When we talked about food, I'm ready to eat now. Although it's a horrible time to eat. We're on the East Coast and it's late. We should not be eating right now.
I'm just going to go to bed, so I'm not eating.
Well, then you're the most disciplined one of the 3.
I am.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, guys. I had a great time.
No, thank you. And we're going to make sure we put your info out there so people can find you all over the social networks, all over the interwebs. And we'd love to have you back on the show. We really enjoyed it. I'm sure there's much more. I would like to get you back on the show once you get the business going, because I want to hear how everything's going.
Yeah.
I also would like to dive in a little deeper, and I'm probably going to mute Derek the next time, because I'd like to dive more into the meditation, because my mind works nonstop. I'm highly, highly, highly active ADHD, like nonstop rock and roll. I don't know how to shut it off.
Well, I'll
and
stop
I don't
right
like
there.
I don't like to shut it off.
I'm going to send you my son's course access completely for free.
Thank you.
He has ADHD and developed an ADHD course specifically to teach people with it how to meditate. And there is a 1-minute meditation, a 2-minute meditation, a 3-minute. He's going to you, and he put extra visual things and it's the way he teaches, because he knows that he had a hard time doing it as well. And so that's what's so beautiful about
the problem
him
with
doing this work.
The problem with most ADHD people and
focus.
Well, we're not challenged.
Right.
Well, I've got a pretty high level IQ, and I don't say that braggingly, but I'm not a doctor or
So
genius.
does my son.
I'm pretty. It's just we weren't challenged. So all of a sudden we were labeled as hyperactive and this disruptive child, and I get slapped around as a kid, and now I've learned that it was actually a superpower rather than a disability. They tried to make it a disability, but it's a superpower. So I definitely would like to touch on that. And I appreciate you sending me the stuff over. That's great. Guys, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being here today. Oh, how did you get that?
You said you were smart. I just wanted everyone to know.
He's just playing with things now. Listen. And on that note, I'm going to wish everybody a good night and send Derek to go eat his pizza. Gina, thank you so much. And everybody go follow her on Facebook. You can find her. That's how I found her. I follow you. I don't know if you noticed I follow you.
I don't know if I've noticed, but
creepy.
Please.
Zach's World.
Great.
So I got to put it in Zach's World, www.zacksworld.com. Takes you right to my Facebook. Anyway, on that, guys, we're going to be again this weekend. We have a second show coming up. We've got a great guest coming on. A guy out of Colorado. His name's Andrew, and he's gonna blow your mind with some of his business stuff. So stay tuned. We may even do it live. I'm not sure yet. We're still testing the waters live. Have you done shows live, Gina?
Yes.
Do you prefer them live, or do you prefer recorded where you can edit and save yourself?
It depends. I mean, if you're going to decide not to look at comments and not to interact, then it has to be a decision. I personally like if you kind of focus on the show, but then open it up for an extra portion of live discussion after. I think that's great value for the audience. It's interacting. I love all that. It's just, it can get very distracting though, if that's happening the whole time. And I think you lose people.
Well, and that's true. My buddy Daniel, who is a big time podcaster, he used to do his show live, and I'd watch him, and I could see him reading the comments, and I know he's not paying attention to what people are saying. And so, and anyway, he was the one who was texting me, giving me a hard time because we're not live. He's like, "How do you expect me to watch a show? You're not even live. What's going on?" Because I told him, I said, "You're missing." I thought he was going to pop in tonight, but he didn't. He likes to show up unannounced. He'll just pop in all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's really weird.
He'll just come on, but it's
pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But anyway, so Gina, what is the name of your podcast?
Turn on the Color.
Turn on the Color. Okay.
Yeah,
and where can we find you? All
YouTube,
over?
YouTube, Spotify. Yeah, all over. Turn on the Colors all over. Yep.
All right. So maybe we could do a cross-pollination and, do some shows or something.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Fabulous.
Always up for it.
How often are you doing shows?
I was dropping them every week. I had a little bit of a break, but that's because I'm doing in-person one now. So I'm waiting for them to get edit, but every Friday was typically the drop.
Beautiful.
Date.
So we do Tuesdays and Thursdays. So
once a week.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, as always, we love you. Thanks for watching. Derek, keep buying the likes.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Vern. Oh shoot. Dang it.
You said his name. You can't say a hater's name, bro.
But I don't know who he is.
Well, anyway, that's fine.
It's your friend.
He's not my friend. No, sir. Anyway, guys, thanks again. We love you, and we can't wait to see you next Thursday or this Thursday. Until then, peace.
Peace out.